This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. 3, 2, 1. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Friday Eve edition. How you doing, Big Fancy Brian?
I'm full of magic and wonder, feeling glorious as always.
And how about you, Evan? I see you. What is that? Are you doing a drum solo in there?
Just flying. Oh, we're ready. We're so ready.
Let's back off the meth a little bit, young man. You seem a little too excited for this show.
See, I'm primed by I stopped at a pro-union Starbucks near my house and got a nice soon-to-be union-made beverage. It was delicious.
Interesting. Well, not a big coffee guy. I got my green jet fuel right here. And we got lots of stuff to talk about. We're going to hear from the president of the United States, Joe Biden. I'm talking about gas prices. Going to let a lot of oil out and hopefully drive down the gas prices. We'll hear from Biden and Speaker Pelosi. And also, we got a fine guest, Batman, joining me in the Madison Studios. 405's got a big event tonight. Going to help him promote it. You know, I call Batman often. If he calls me occasionally, you know, if Batman calls you, you answer that call and you make a little time for Batman. So he's joining at 405. And the eagerly anticipated, often AWOL Dominic. Dominic is back today for the happy hour at 5.
Who?
Yeah, that guy. You know, we had to count the number of days he worked in the back half of the month today, you know, just to square up. And, you know, he thought he worked 7, but it turns out, including today, it's only 5.
Way to go. You'd think he'd be able to keep track, but I guess the guy's super busy.
You know, damn near ran out of fingers on one hand. So anyways, we welcome back Dominic, eagerly anticipated. My little buddy returns to the airwaves as only he can on a Thursday, you know, rolling into a grueling 2-day work week. So we welcome him back. I'm looking forward to it.
It's the quality of the work that matters.
You know what's really got me nearly as giddy as a meth-induced producer in the control room?
What?
Tommy Thompson. And for those listening outside the great state of Wisconsin, Tommy Thompson was elected Wisconsin governor 4 times. 4 times. I mean, that's a popular guy. You know, FDR barely's got anything on this guy. Now, the last time Tommy Thompson left to go serve as a presidential cabinet secretary. And eventually, Tommy actually ran for president once upon a time. Tommy also ran for the U.S. Senate and was defeated by Tammy Baldwin from the great state of Wisconsin. And I will be honest, I confess, in my lifetime, I have pulled that lever for Tommy Thompson. But here's why I bring it all up today. You know, so what? The guy's like 80, former governor. Why do you bring it up today?
Well, he's a likable guy.
Well, I like Tommy. More importantly, Tommy loves the state of Wisconsin. And you guys all know, if you're listening, I don't care where you're listening to, you hear the twang. I am Wisconsin through and through. I am a homer of the worst sort.
But he also harkens back to a time when Republicans may have been disagreeable, but also try to get things done and actually did get things done.
You know what? I reached out to a few of my dim strategist friends, and I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. So I will keep the name out of it in deference to the fact it's his birthday. Happy birthday, Vegas Joe. But you know what Joe said of Tommy? Oh, pardon me.
I'll help you. It rhymes with Repecky.
Yeah, but it's not that guy. Not the one you're thinking of. It's a different one, but let's keep it secret. So anyways, my buddy Vegas Joe tells me, and I'm speculating, I'm seeing articles, breaking news in the local papers here in Wisconsin. The former 4-time, you know, one for the thumb, the 4-time elected former governor, Republican of the great state of Wisconsin, is down in Mar-a-Lago at the court of Donald Trump today, seeking his endorsement?
I don't know. He's thinking about running. He's maybe running. I don't know. To me, I feel like he's being summoned down there. Oh, I got a free vacation and I have to listen to the timeshare lecture. Sounds good.
Going to Mar-a-Lago is like owning a timeshare.
Well, Luke asked me if I would go. Yeah, hell yeah, I would go. All things paid for, done. I'm going there. Free vacation. Sure. Are they going to stop me from talking back? Oh, no. Okay, great. Or I just have to sit there and listen. Great. You tell me about your Trump stakes. That sounds great. Let me go. I'll meet you at the pool later.
Do you know my understanding? If my memory serves, and it's usually pretty good, there was another guy who went down to Mar-a-Lago. He was Chris Christie, the former governor of New Jersey. And when he went down there, Trump insisted on ordering off the menu for him. Everyone else was able to order their own food, but Trump had to order for Chris Christie. You're going to have the meatloaf, my understanding. And if I also recall the reporting of approximately that same time, maybe that same story, Trump gets 2 scoops of ice cream. Everybody else only gets 1. In deference to the fact he's the king of Mar-a-Lago.
That's just unnecessarily petty.
I don't know about unnecessarily petty. When you're the king of Mar-a-Lago, you get to set the ice cream policy in the dining room, man.
I just, fine. I'm not going to argue with your authority over the ice cream policy. I'm just saying there are other things that define kingdom other than, getting 1 scoop of ice cream. But again, when you're a simple-minded person like Trump, that's what it means to you.
Here's what could happen. So anyways, not to mention Joe doesn't rhyme with, what'd you say, Arpecki or something? It doesn't rhyme with Arpecki. It's not that one. But my Dem friend said, at least he's not crazy. At least Tommy's not crazy. And, you look at the other Republicans in the field, and, I'm going to use that term with generosity. There are a handful of Republicans in the field already. Whether or not Tommy enters, well, that's yet to be seen. And I'm sorry if I'm lingering and playing a little too much backyard politics. I'll get to the president in a minute. But I am quite, as a talk radio host who resides right here in the world headquarters, 5 minutes from the Wisconsin state capitol, I got to tell you, I'm very excited about the prospects of one more in the pool of Republican candidates seeking to be the Gubinator of the great state of Wisconsin, because Tommy Thompson is not crazy. Tommy Thompson, I strongly suspect if he runs, if he wants this job, it's his for the taking. I think he becomes the next governor.
Of the other 3 candidates, he's the only one with an actual track record. The other one, Clayfish was as part of another administration, so she kind of hitched herself to that. You got Kevin Nicholson, who walks through crowds really, really strongly. That's his qualifications. And then you got Timothy Ramsden, who wants to go and destroy his own Republican Party, as well as help Trump win, but wasn't also brought down to Mar-a-Lago himself because nobody likes him.
Well, when you see the colorful suits, he does have sort of a Miami Vice flair to him, that Ram Jam. But he literally wants to decertify. And you think that would be appealing to Donald Trump, the fringiest of the fringe. Because look at some of the others he's endorsed. I mean, the Greitens is an accused rapist wife beater, the former Missouri governor, now running in the U.S. Senate. There are others that Trump is getting behind. But apparently Tommy's down at the table getting his 1 scoop of ice cream. Trump gets 2. And, getting his pitch for a timeshare, perhaps, so he can soak up the sun, enjoy it. Kind of crappy weather here in the upper Midwest. So we're not talking about the weather, though, are we, Fancy Brian?
I was told we weren't going to mention it, but
we're not talking about the weather. We're talking about the 4-time elected Republican former governor of the state of Wisconsin. And I don't think you quite heard me, Fancy Brian, because I didn't say if Tommy gets in, he wins the Republican nomination. I said if Tommy gets in, he's the next governor of the state of Wisconsin.
I know. But that wouldn't necessarily be a horrible thing. The guy has shown he can do the job before.
Well, I'm sure the current Democratic governor of the state of Wisconsin wouldn't like that idea so much.
Well, clearly, obviously, and the Democratic Party wouldn't either, but I would still consider it a win, seeing that, what we saw before Evers and the Republican Party for the last 10, 15 years has been something that isn't resembling what I know as something that cares about small d democracy. So going back to someone who actually was maybe resetting back to a time when small d democracy was something important to, I don't know, everybody involved, I would consider that a win, even if it's somebody who didn't agree with what I believed in.
You know what? It could be a reset. And I'm not rooting for the outcome that I think could be the inevitable outcome if Tommy Thompson did run for Wisconsin governor. I think he'd be very popular. I think he'd be popular on both sides of the aisle. And perhaps, Fancy Brian, you're right. Maybe the optimism I feel is sort of a hearkening for a simpler time, a kinder time, a time when people actually loved their neighbors and loved the state of Wisconsin. And you put the governor in, and it was sort of plug and play, man. You know what I mean? You didn't have to live and die by the politics because you weren't worried that the governor's trying to rub out democracy.
Yeah. It's a weird situation to be in. And what I don't understand, though, is going down there is because Tommy Thompson doesn't need that.
Well, if he's a moderate Republican of the, Badger first sort, yeah, why are you going down to the sunny beaches of Mar-a-Lago?
You're strong on your own. For me, I only see it as detracting unless he's just caring about going on a vacation and listening to the timeshare.
Well, he is the leader of the Republican Party, arguably. Donald Trump is. And Tommy Thompson could be the leader of the state of Wisconsin. If he runs, I think he's got a better than average chance of winning the state election. And that doesn't mean I'm rooting against Tony Evers. I'm just telling you. I think that Tommy Thompson would have a hell of a pitch to make. This guy ran the university system in the state of Wisconsin during the pandemic, kind of came off the bench and did a hell of a job coaching. Come back with us, Devil's Advocates Radio Show. We'll get to the president, Joe Biden, the current one, Governor Tommy Thompson from the state of Wisconsin, down in Mar-a-Lago with the former.
A dinner was arranged. I think he asked for the dinner.
Hey, well, you're going to have to take me to dinner first.
We had a very nice dinner.
I met this lawyer. We went out to dinner. I had the lobster bisque. We went back to my place, yada, yada, yada.
Make it the greatest radio show ever. The Devil's Advocates is my passion. It must be. I've been doing it for a decade. Running two Wisconsin radio stations, providing the only platforms of truth and resistance against fascism in a critical swing state. That's a vital mission and a tremendous responsibility. And it all costs money. So support the mission and the show. Join and give at patreon.com at the Devil's Advocates Radio. Help me change hearts and minds and just maybe save democracy.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
The radio show your mother warned you about.
Actual tyranny of a dictator. Dictator is going to dictate Putin. And what did Trump do? Trump kneeled to the man, embarrassing Republicans. And you're still with the guy. This is your front runner in 2024. You've been smoking some of Mike Lindell's crack. What are you thinking?
They're the GCCCP. We are the Devil's Advocates.
Live weekday afternoons from 3 to 6.
Treat yourself to some Wisco Home Goods natural lotions or sugar scrub in 2022. I'm Don, one of the owners of this family-owned Midwestern business in Madison, Wisconsin. Our natural hand soaps, lotions, and sugar scrubs offer you the luxury you deserve. Wisco Home Goods self-care products come in a variety of scents you're sure to love. So go on, add a little pampering to your daily routine. Order at wiscohomegoods.com. Natural, healthy, nourishing self-care and more at wiscohomegoods.com.
The Devil's Advocates, radio for the 99%.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Friday Eve edition. Saying it that way because Dom's back today, and Dom's already looking forward to the weekend on his first day back to work. He's
already tired.
Oh, I'm sure he'll be exhausted when he joins us. Back to the phones. We don't usually take them early, but in deference to the fact you ain't CJ, 844-967-2789. Taking Jeannie's call. Welcome, Jeannie. What do you got?
Hi, guys. I had a call on this one. I couldn't wait.
Tommy Thompson. For or against Tommy?
Against him now. Years ago, Tommy Thompson was a different kind of guy. And he worked for the state and helped funeral workers when we lost the plant on our side of the state, and tried to help get programs going, really and truly get programs that help people. But then he changed. And then when he ran for the Senate, and he was bashing the liberals and the Democrats, he sounded just like the gall darn Republicans that are in there now, spouting off the same spew. And I thought, Tommy Thompson ain't for us anymore. He's not the same guy. And any guy, Tommy, if he was that great and sure of himself, and he cared about our state, he wouldn't be going down to meet with that scam artist.
Well, that's an excellent point, Jeannie. But you got to understand, as a political talk radio host, I am more than a little excited about the prospects of gubernatorial candidate Tommy Thompson. And, let me ask you this. Let me see if, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, Jeannie, but let me ask you, maybe Tommy learned from his experience. I mean, Tammy Baldwin beat him soundly, right? Well, he's a smart enough political creature. Man hasn't lost a lot of elections in his lifetime. Maybe he learned something. Look at the way he shepherded the UW system through the pandemic. I mean, there was admiration from both sides of the aisle.
Oh, yeah,
I think he was the right guy at the helm at the right moment in history. Well, could he be that right guy again for the state of Wisconsin? And I think you've already given your answer, but I'll give you one more crack.
Okay. Hey, listen, I like Tommy Thompson for what he did years ago. I do not want to see him in that position, because if he kowtows to Trump now and he's got overruled, he'll be overruled. I've seen too much of what's happened in our federal government, of good people, good Republicans that used to work to the other side, and then all the pressure, and now they don't even take an inch. I'm very frightened for our state. And that even makes me more frightened because people know of Tommy's past, and we're not assured that the Republicans aren't going to own him like they run our state, unfortunately. So, yeah, I don't want to see any Republicans governors in our state, not with the new remember how they want to change the Constitution and have that? Oh, no way, no way. It's too bad in our state right now. We need somebody with an iron hand to say no to all of the things that they're trying to pull in our state. So anyway, thanks you guys. I didn't mean to go on and on.
No, that's okay, Jeannie. When I think iron hand, I think Governor Tony Evers. 844-967-2789. Jeannie.
Only when talking about euchre.
He's got both powers, baby. 844-967-2789. Our pal Hawk. How you been, Hawk, man? I can't wait to come to your joint and have a party. I almost called you today.
Yeah, I think maybe this summer would be a good time.
Wow, we got to wait till summer to have a party at a bar? Come on, Hawk.
Well, no, not anymore. I guess, right? Coming to hang out, it's a little weird. I'm actually driving back from Tennessee right now, and it's weird being down in Tennessee. But
Are you in Kentucky? Because I drove back from Tennessee.
No.
Not in Kentucky. Because I drove fast in Kentucky. I want to get through Kentucky.
Yeah, we did. We drove through there. We don't like hanging out in any of these. But it's nice to hang out in the cabin that we were at. But anyway, I digress. But Jeannie stole my thunder because I think, like Brian said, Tommy doesn't get off by going to a Nazi party and not be thrown into the Nazis. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry, but we don't get to call him a moderate. You don't get to be a moderate and go to Mar-a-Lago. I'm sorry, but you're not. You're just not. You're a right-wing wackadoodle. Anybody who goes to Mar-a-Lago is a right-wing wackadoodle, and that's what they should be called. And so Tommy Thompson, whatever he was before, he's morphed into something that's willing to go to Mar-a-Lago, and that's a right-wing wackadoodle.
Yeah, but
and
what if he got to fly first class on Trump Air and, got 2 scoops of ice cream with dinner?
If you ask me, that shows you even worse. If someone's willing to sell out their soul, if that's really who he is, you see what I'm saying? Like, are you friends with the racists because they buy you dinner?
Well,
like, are you willing to do that? I'm not. I'm not.
No, I probably wouldn't eat.
Buy me dinner,
You make a good point there.
Racist ice cream, like racist ice cream. Here, have some ice cream. Don't worry about the Nazis. No big deal. You know what I mean? Like, we have to paint Tommy for who he is. When's the last time a moderate Republican won anything, anywhere? I mean, the Republican Party is radically different than when Tommy Thompson won.
Yeah, but
is
it possible, Hawk, just possible, that he could help them break the fever and bring them back to some sense of normalcy?
No, he just went to Mar-a-Lago. How is he breaking the fever? He just took some ivermectin to break the fever.
Hawk, you're killing me, man. You're killing me. Hey, brother, I'm telling you, it's always a good time to party at the Jade Monkey. I'm just looking for a good reason. Why don't you invite us over?
Well, you come soon.
We'll be there soon at one of Hawk's Fighter neighborhood bars right here in the greater Madison area. Got stuck. Not stuck. I brought it up. But we are going to talk about oil. And Joe Biden, the president, did speak today on the topic. I'm just a little excited. Maybe it's just the political horse race, the political pundit in me gets a little excited about the prospects. Tommy Thompson jumping in the race. Now we'll talk about it later in the big show. Come back. We'll let you know what Joe Biden had to say today on the topic of oil.
Well, let's give him credit. At least it didn't spike him so.
A progressive voice in rural Wisconsin, WTTN 1580 AM is South Central Wisconsin's home for Devil Radio.
When we built the Devil Radio World Headquarters in Madison, it was filthy with construction dust, a real mess. I called Magnific Cleaning Services and they made it shine. A few days later, we moved in and created a whole new mess. Magnific Cleaning Services made it shine again. Now Magnific Cleaning Services is the only cleaners I trust with the keys to my company. They clean Devil Radio affordably and with great attention to detail. Find them online at magnificservice.com for a free estimate. Tell them Devil Radio sent you. Devil Radio has been kicking ass, earning every listener, and providing our sponsors return on investment 3 years now on the Madison airwaves. And there has never been a better time than right now to advertise with us and join the Devil Radio community. Our audience is loyal and growing every day. Active listeners that don't flip. Wonder if your ad dollars are working? Devil Radio listeners will tell you it works. Ad production is included. Devil Radio will make it easy for you to start seeing return on your investment. Call
Coronavirus update. I'm Ed Donahue with an AP News Minute. Stocks finished lower. The Dow down 550 points. Unemployment claims rose last week after hitting a half-century low.
Some 202,000 Americans filed jobless claims last week, up 14,000 from the week prior, which saw the fewest applications since 1969. The applications generally track the pace of layoffs, which remain at historic lows. Roughly 1.3 million Americans were collecting jobless aid as of a dozen days ago, also the fewest since 1969. Employers added 678,000 jobs last month, with the unemployment rate falling to 3.8%. This month's data will come out tomorrow. Sagar Magani, Washington.
The CIA says Director William Burns tested positive for the coronavirus, is experiencing mild symptoms and working from home. Burns is fully vaccinated and boosted. He met yesterday with President Biden. I'm Ed Donahue.
COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too. If you feel symptoms, even if they're mild, you should test fast. Test positive and at high risk for severe COVID-19? Then act fast with authorized oral treatments that can be taken at home and must be taken within 5 days from when symptoms begin. COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too by asking your healthcare provider if an oral treatment is right for you. Learn about a treatment option at treatcv19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
You're always up for some fun with the family, so you order the essentials, a new board game, some baking supplies, and even a new projector for outdoor movie night. And with the Bank of America customized Cash Rewards credit card, you can choose to earn 3% cash back on online shopping, which could increase to up to 5.25% as a preferred rewards member. Rewards which you can put toward an extra treat that everyone will enjoy, like an old-fashioned popcorn machine. Visit bankofamerica.com/more rewarding and apply now. Copyright 2021 Bank of America Corporation.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. An attorney from Chippewa Falls who had sued in November of 2020 to overturn Wisconsin's election results and has written memos supporting State Representative Timothy Randham's effort to decertify Wisconsin's 2020 election result, announced her candidacy for the Republican nomination to be the state's next attorney general. Outside of her election views that experts say are illegal, Karen Mueller announced with the launch of her campaign, she will investigate doctors who are not prescribing ivermectin to patients with COVID-19 if she becomes Wisconsin's attorney general next year. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is set to become 988 this summer after the passage of a bill sponsored by Democratic U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin. The change will go into effect nationally on July 16th, and Wisconsin is better set than most states to begin taking the 988 calls with local call centers due to the expansion of the centers in 2020 under Governor Tony Evers. You're listening to Devil Radio.
Malarkey. The devil's advocates invented malarkey.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Thursday edition. You can be a part, 844-967-2789. Let's get on to President Joe Biden trying to make your life a little easier at the gas pumps today. The headline at the Hill: Biden announces largest ever oil reserve release. Not even sure if I agree with this, but I do currently use some oil and some gas, so I hope it's a good thing. Morgan Chalfant and others at the Hill. The White House on Thursday announced plans for the largest ever release of oil from the United States strategic reserves. It said in a fact sheet that it would release an average of 1 million barrels per day for the next 6 months, resulting in a total release of about 180 million barrels. In remarks on the plan Thursday, Biden called on the oil industry to produce more, while also criticizing industry profits. Do more, make less. Hurry up. Let's play some sound from the President of the United States, Joe Biden, my guy. Cut number 30, if you would. Gas prices really shouldn't hinge on pooty poot. Play it.
Our family budgets, your family budgets to fill a tank, none of it should hinge on whether a dictator declares war.
No, it's all your fault, Joe Biden. Just ask CJ. More from President Joe Biden. Cut number 31, a multi-part plan. I love this plan.
I'm laying out a two-part plan, not only to ease the pain that families are feeling right now, but to end this era of dependence and uncertainty.
Now, the Russian invasion certainly has had an effect on the prices. The president does acknowledge that. Cut 32, please.
The start of this year, gas was about $3.30 a gallon. Today, it's about averaging $4.20, $4.22. It's higher in many states. Nearly $1 more in less than 3 months.
Well, I would point out here in the state of Wisconsin, gas prices are on the drop. Now, I filled up the other day, $92. That was a little bit of a bite in the you-know-what. But, then get a hybrid, get an electric car. Good luck finding one currently. But, if you had the foresight, like our friend Darcy, she drives a plug-in, right? More from President Joe Biden. If only I'd thought ahead. Oil companies, well, they have a choice. They don't have to stick it to us, do they? Cut 33.
They have a choice. One, they can put those profits to productive use by producing more oil, restarting idle wells, or producing on the sites they already are leasing. Giving the American people a break by passing some of the savings on to their customers and lowering the price at the pump. Or They can, as some of them are doing, exploit the situation, sit back, ship those profits to the investors, and while American families struggle to make ends meet.
You can't spell exploit without X on. I'm pretty sure. I didn't do all the letters, but I'm pretty sure. Biden says use it or lose it. Cut 34.
To help execute this first part of my plan, I'm calling for a use it or lose it policy. Congress should make companies pay fees on wells on federal leases they haven't used in years and acres of public land they're hoarding without production.
More from the president, Joe Biden, doubling down. Cut 35, please.
We need to double down on our commitment to clean energy and tackling the climate crisis with our partners and allies around the world.
Yeah, it always seems quite contradictory to me. Let's release the oil. Let's drive down the oil prices. Let's stimulate more oil production because, we really need to get to a economy with less oil production and less oil usage. And that's going to result probably, at least in the short term, in higher prices. So it always seems quite contradictory to me, but
it's almost like these things are dependent on things like supply and demand.
Joe Biden does talk about what he can do to, perhaps control these supply lines, at least for battery materials. Cut 36, please.
I'm issuing a directive to strengthen our clean energy economy. I'm going to use the Defense Production Act to secure American supply chains for the critical materials that go into batteries for electric vehicles and the storage of renewable energy, lithium, graphite, nickel, and so much more.
You can make those batteries out of hemp. You know that, Joe? There was legislation. We're going to get to Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Marijuana, a topic in the House these days. Cut 37, President Joe Biden, not sure, when they're coming down or how much they're coming down, but I sure do hope they're coming down. Very reassuring. Cut 37.
They're already come down. My guess is we'll see it come down, continue to come down. But how far down, I don't think anyone can tell. And there's going to be a slight delay.
Yeah, because oil companies like to stick it to us and exploit us, the consumers, then that little lag time. That little lag time adds to the bottom line. One more from President Joe Biden. It will come down significantly. I sure do hope so.
It will come down. And it could come down fairly significantly. It could come down the better part of, anything from 10 cents to 35 cents a gallon. It's unknown at this point.
Well, that would be less significant than I would hope for. But anyways, Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, also answered some questions and gave some talking points here on the gas prices. Nancy Pelosi, cut number 10, if you would, Fancy Brian. It is in our interest to alleviate this problem.
There is very interest in our caucus in stopping price gouging on the part of the industry. It's about passing on whatever we might pass to alleviate the price at the pump.
I heard earlier today, and I trust the source, corporate profits have never been higher than they were in 2021. Never higher than they were in 2021. So when you hear about this inflationary pressures, think corporate greed, think corporate profit. And corporations exist to make profit. I own a couple corporations. I'd sure as hell like to make some profit. But I will tell you, profits have never been higher for Americans' corporations. So just keep that in mind. More from Nancy Pelosi. What's the plan, Nancy? Cut 11.
The immediate is to bring down that price. We want there to be no price gouging. We have other proposals that members have that relate to having the industry pay for whatever we have to put out there to alleviate the financial pain.
Well, a windfall profits tax, as my guy Bernie Sanders has proposed, I'd be down for that. What about a gas tax holiday? Apparently, Nancy Pelosi, she shares my opinion. That ain't a good idea. come back with cut 12, please.
You cannot write a law that requires them to pass it on. That's just the way it is. We've tried every which way. You can have moral suasion, you could encourage, you can incentivize. You cannot require it.
No, you cannot. Not my understanding. More from Nancy Pelosi. The gas tax holiday pros and cons. Cut 13.
The pro is very showbiz. Okay, let's just do something. There it is. But it is not necessarily landing in the pocket of the consumer. It's taken out of the trust fund. We have to pay for that to return it.
One more, at least on this topic, maybe a couple more from Nancy Pelosi. She does blame the increase, the rise in gas prices on Putin. I think it is appropriate to blame him in part. But here she is. Play it for the people if you would. Putin's fault. 14.
Putin definitely contributed to this gas hike. So I'm not saying it's all his, no, but it's largely his.
Now, I want to jump ahead here, Fancy Brian. It looks like we've got just a little bit more, perhaps on the Green New Deal here. Cut number 18, Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
The price of oil is an indicator, or the price of gas at the pump is an indicator. Putin has exacerbated it, but we cannot allow the fossil fuel industry to use this as an excuse to reverse everything we're doing to save the planet.
You know, one industry that is actually very competitive, mostly on a state-by-state level, but very competitive. One industry where you have not seen rampant inflation, the legal cannabis industry. Now, it's not federally legal, but there is a legislative piece up before the Congress. Nancy Pelosi did address this today. I want to play it for the people. Fancy Brian, cut number 17, Nancy Pelosi on the cannabis bill.
Well, this is the decriminalization of it. It's the decriminalization of it. And the fact is many states have already done that. And so this is consistent with what is happening in many states across the country.
I'm not exactly satisfied when Democrats talk about decriminalization, but, it'd be a step in the right direction. Shouldn't be a Schedule I narcotic. Hell, I can drive 45 minutes south, get to Illinois, where they're probably listening on WCPT 820 AM, and let you know that legal marijuana is just across state lines.
Let's not forget the only reason why it is a Schedule I drug is because of the ambition of Richard Nixon, because he can't lock up the hippies and he can't lock up black people, but he can lock up people for smoking weed.
Yeah, the war on drugs. Go drugs. A little bit more here. Nancy Pelosi on COVID. Cut number 15, if you would. We'll clean up the Nancy sound.
This is shameful. We have to get the money. It's not going to last this past probably June 1st.
Now, there is questions about funding for future coronavirus waves. And, just because we got through the Omicron, the, last wave, doesn't mean there's not going to be additional waves of this pandemic. So you better fund them. You better be prepared for them. I think that's in part what she's talking about. A little bit more from the speaker. Cut 16, please.
I think what the Republicans are doing is either they don't care or they don't know, but it is wrong.
Well, they don't care, Nancy. They just don't care. They got theirs. They got their ivermectin. They'll be just fine, they think. A couple more on the topic of U.S. assistants. What do we call them? Associate Justice, insurrectionist husband, Clarence Thomas. What do you think on that topic? Cut 19, please.
People say from time to time, well, it's a personal decision of a judge as to whether he should recuse himself. Well, if your wife is an admitted and proud contributor to a coup of our country, maybe you should weigh that in your ethical standards.
Yeah, you would think. You'd want to weigh a coup d'etat effort by a justice's spouse. Now, I don't know, Nancy. I think you perhaps being a skosh hyperbolic. I don't know that Ginny confessed so much to the insurrectionist part. Just the being at the party till, it got a little uncomfortably cool. One more, Nancy Pelosi. Then we're done. Again, the topic, Clarence Thomas. Cut 20, please, Brian.
I don't think he should have ever been appointed. So let me take it back there.
Well, I don't think we're rolling that one all the way back. You know, the Democrats are mad as hell about Clarence Thomas. What to do about Clarence Thomas? Well, here's the thing. There's not a hell of a lot you can do. There really isn't. It is up to the justice whether or not he will recuse over the topic of January 6th. Now, John Roberts has got to be losing his freaking mind because he's the one who is seeing the taint on the U.S. Supreme Court. Yeah. It's not a pretty sight. And you think that bothered John Roberts, his reputation. It is the Roberts Court. And if you truly have a spouse of an insurrectionist, whether or not she's confessed yet, that'll come later, perhaps in trial. But yeah, it poses a little conflict of interest. And you can't make him recuse himself. And probably under current circumstances, you can't impeach the man, or you would have done so more successfully with Donald Trump. So you can be mad as hell, Democrats, but Clarence, he's on the court probably till the day he dies. Come back, more Devil's Advocates. More warm thoughts for you. 844-967-2789. Phone lines open.
You're a communist.
Do I look like a socialist? Look at my career, my whole career. I am not a socialist.
Communism is just a red herring.
Here's that song again. Here's that song again. For the 100th time today. Here's that song again. It's gonna be stuck in your head all day. Here's that song again. It will make you cray, cray.
You love your kids enough to watch that TV show a bajillion times. Love them enough to make sure they're in the right car seat for their age and size. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Spruce up your home with soy candles from Wisco Home Goods. I'm Don, one of the owners of this family-owned Midwestern business in Madison, Wisconsin. Our candles are 100% sustainable and come in a variety of unique blends and scents. Did you know our candle jars are also double old-fashioned glasses? That's right, buy a candle and you get a free cocktail glass. Check out our blog at wiscohomegoods.com/blog for more information. That's wiscohomegoods.com/blog.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates.
Everybody's going to claim they're a progressive at some point during this race. How about you, Fancy?
Let's say the pool of candidates are all gardeners. If there's a progressive garden and all of the candidates are gardening a little bit, I feel like Tom would have more dirt on his hands. You've cleaned your hands 40 times. There's still somehow dirt on there in a good way because you've been doing the work.
What you're saying is you have dirty thoughts about U.S. Real candidate Tom Nelson.
Yes, but in a very progressive way. Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
Hi there, I'm Kirk Bankstad and I own the Monaco Brewing Company. And I also have a super PAC. We make good trouble in the North Woods of Wisconsin. You can support our efforts at the MonacoBrewingCompany.com and buy our Wove gear like t-shirts, hoodies, and trucker hats. Enter the code RADIO and get 10% off on your next purchase. A portion of all sales support the Monaco Brewing Company Super PAC, which is dark money meant for good. That's the MonacoBrewingCompany.com.
The big and tall of political talk. The Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Thursday edition. Little Van Halen always gets you, bumping, doing a little hair banging. Throwing the horns out there in the radio land. 844-967-2789. You Democrats, you need to get fired up. Fired up. Maybe it's going to take a little, Panama or some Van Halen jump. Something from the 1984 album, I predict. Maybe Diver Down. But it's going to take something to increase the enthusiasm of the Democratic Party. And that's not Crudy saying that, man. I wake up most days, finding a reason to get out there and fight the good fight. But Jennifer, yeah, that's me. Oh, Jennifer Rubin at the Washington Post has this to say: how Democrats can solve their enthusiasm problem. I'm telling you, it's Van Halen, man, but not Van Hagar, although Van Hagar is still pretty good.
You tell that to the people in Grenada.
A rapid polling shows enthusiasm. I don't even know what that means. A rapid polling shows enthusiasm amongst Democrats about the midterms substantially trails that of Republicans. That is particularly troubling, given that even in the best political climate, Democrats struggle to draw their voters to the polls in the midterms, thereby boosting the percentage of older, white, conservative voters. Democrats have plenty of reasons to be glum. The president's ratings are crummy. Inflation is high. See, I'm cheering you up here. Now I'm getting to a point. So, stick with me for a little longer. Don't cry in your beer just yet. And their dreams of a voting rights reform and a transformative agenda crashed and burned in the Senate. Thanks, Manchin. It does not help that President Biden talks incessantly about proposals he did not achieve. Don't tell me what you didn't get done. Brag about what you did get done, but don't tell me, I wish I'd gotten that other stuff done. It is not unusual for the party controlling the White House to lose seats in the midterms. It is a political truism that it is easier to rile up voters upset about what the party in power is doing or failing to do than to defend what is invariably an incomplete, imperfect record. That does not mean Democrats are helpless, but it does require the White House to rethink its approach. Yes, please. To the dismay of many Democrats, Biden remains wedded to the futile goals of bipartisanship and lowering the temperature. Frustrated Democrats make the point that they can be no real bipartisanship with a party that plays to QAnon conspiracy theorists. I think I've heard a few in the audience talk about that in regards to Tommy Thompson. Actively discourages COVID vaccination, systemically undermines access to voting, harbors unhinged racist, and still perpetuates the big lie that the 2020 election was stolen. There's no lowering the temperature. They reason when the opposition is burning down democratic institutions and banning violence. This is not a time for a kumbaya group hug. If that argument does not persuade Biden to change his tone and message, then perhaps raw political calculation will persuade him by remaining so studiously above the fray and refusing to identify Republicans as the threat to our democracy. He has sapped his own base of energy and allowed Republicans free rein to light up their voters. So what can be done to narrow the enthusiasm gap? Biden and the rest of the party must paint an accurate picture of what a Republican-led Congress would look like. Chaos, vicious partisanship, gridlock. Republicans, including Ted Cruz, have already indicated they look for every opportunity to impeach Biden. A group of Republicans actually filed impeachment articles last year. Does anyone think 2024 Republican presidential contenders won't leap at a chance to push for impeachment proceedings? Republicans have also made clear they have no qualms about shutting down the government, defaulting on the debt, and holding up key nominees for critical national security positions. Should another Supreme Court justice retire or die, looking at you, Clarence Thomas, no one can seriously believe the party that denied President Barack Obama even a hearing on his Supreme Court pick would allow consideration of Biden's. These are not invented concerns. These are things Republicans have already tried or promised to do. Then there's what passes for policy on the Republican side. Senator Rick Scott of Florida, head of the National Republican Senatorial Committee, has already revealed his tax the poor plan and scheme to repeal entitlement programs. Senator Ron Johnson has vowed to repeal Obamacare. That alone should be enough to engage Democratic base. If only the party's apparatus, from the president on down, would clearly articulate the policy debacle that would follow if Republicans take the majority. Finally, I tell you, Democrats cannot be shy about focusing on the onslaught of invasive, cruel, and tyrannical measures Republicans are pushing at the state level, from bounties for those who turn in women seeking abortions, to threatening to take transgender children away from their parents who seek legitimate medical care, to creating a litigation machine to attack teachers trying to teach about civil rights. This is an agenda that seeks to turn Americans against one another, creates a hellish surveillance state, and solidifies America as a white Christian nation. Indeed, the attacks on Republicans are so obvious and abundant. It is a wonder that Democrats are waiting for. Granted, it's hard to get an unruly, divisive party on the same page, but the problem begins in the Oval Office. Unless and until Biden drops the Republicans aren't so bad, we can work with them fantasy and uses the bully pulpit to pound away at the threat posed by Republicans, Democratic voters won't see much urgency in turning out in November. And if Democrats want to minimize their losses, they first have to persuade the president to defend the soul of America. After all, that's why he ran for president, right? Is that a good enough battle? Is that a good enough reason to get fired up?
I would hope so.
Defending the soul of America, defending democracy. That's the battle. I feel it each and every day. I feel this onus. I feel this weight.
It's a lot easier when you have a figure that's specifically like Donald Trump that can embody all of those things. Now it's some, faceless head of some, state government that nobody really knows about.
But
and that's harder to find.
They're not faceless. They're right there on the evening news. It's Ted Cruz. It's Jim Jordan. It's Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's Ron frickin' Johnson. They're not secretive. They're not hiding what their bad agendas are. They're malfeasance. It's clear, folks. So let's get fired up. Hour 2. We're gonna get fired up. Yes,
I just wanted to correct. It wasn't Grenada. It was Panama. It was Manuel Noriega. They got him out by playing a bunch of heavy metal, and one of them was Van Halen. And I hope they played Panama in Panama, really loud.
Well, that'd be somewhat ironic.
Got him surrendered.
Is there a Grenada song for Grenada? Reagan invaded Grenada, didn't he?
All those Grenada war songs.
I am a veteran of the Grenadian Wars. Come back with us. I'm not actually. I never left the States. Is Grenada part of the States? It's not like the U.S. Virgin Islands, is it? Did we take it back? Colonialization under Reagan. Hour 2 with Batman, Matt Rothschild, going to be next.
I did what I came to do.
Let's go, Brandon. I agree. 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hey, it's Rocker, and I'm lifting off from Sal's Tomato Pies, enjoying a brand new cocktail called the Cosmonaut. It's an improved take on the classic cocktail with Madison-made Rocker vodka, featuring orange liqueur, house-made citrus cordial, lime, and cranberry. Experience liftoff with the Cosmonaut, the new cocktail featuring Rocker vodka at Sal's Tomato Pies in Sun Prairie, Madison, and the Dark Horse Art Bar. Must be 21. Please drink responsibly.
At Chad's Design Build, we care deeply about the quality of the services that we provide to our clients. An excellent remodeling experience requires communication, honesty, accuracy, and a detailed plan, all of which helps to create a satisfied client. And these commitments spell our name. To learn more about the Chad's remodeling experience, go to chadsdesignbuild.com. Building a better world, one remodeled home at a time, and celebrating 30 years of excellence.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus, W224 EG Madison, always streaming on the Devil Radio app.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. President Biden says there are no signs Russia and Vladimir Putin are pulling back any troops in Ukraine.
There is also evidence that he is beefing up his troops down in the Donbass area. On your view of Putin, I'm a little skeptical.
John Kirby at the Pentagon says there are no signs any Russian troops are going home, just repositioned.
This could drag on for a while. It might not just be a matter of days and weeks. It could be much longer than that.
Ukraine's state power company says Russian troops began leaving the Chernobyl nuclear plant after soldiers got significant doses of radiation from digging trenches at the highly contaminated site. President Biden is ordering the release of 1 million barrels of oil per day from the nation's strategic petroleum reserve.
I know gas prices are painful. I get it. My plan is going to help ease that pain today and safeguard against tomorrow.
Gas prices spiked after the U.S. and allies imposed deep sanctions on Russia over its invasion of Ukraine. Gas prices and food prices are higher, and an inflation gauge that is closely monitored by the Federal Reserve jumped 6.4% in February compared with a year ago. Stocks finished lower, the Dow down 550 points. Defense attorneys quickly rested their case after one of four men charged with plotting to kidnap the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, repeatedly said absolutely not when asked if he had agreed to abduct her before the 2020 election. The AP's Ed White was in the courtroom.
When the prosecutor took his turn, Assistant U.S. Attorney Jonathan Roth, the scene was much different. It was tense, questioning, combative at times, talking over each other. The judge had to jump in at one point and tell everyone, hey, let's cool it.
Daniel Harris was the only defendant to speak to jurors. They're accused of being upset with Whitmer over her coronavirus restrictions. This is AP News.
COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too. If you feel symptoms, even if they're mild, you should test fast. Test positive and at high risk for severe COVID-19? Then act fast with authorized oral treatments that can be taken at home and must be taken within 5 days from when symptoms begin. COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too by asking your healthcare provider if an oral treatment is right for you. Learn about a treatment option at treatcv19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
You're always up for some fun with the family, so you order the essentials, a new board game, some baking supplies, and even a new projector for outdoor movie night. And with the Bank of America customized Cash Rewards credit card, you can choose to earn 3% cash back on online shopping, which could increase to up to 5.25% as a preferred rewards member. Rewards which you can put toward an extra treat that everyone will enjoy, like an old-fashioned popcorn machine. Visit bankofamerica.com/more rewarding and apply now. Copyright 2021 Bank of America Corporation.
Like, wow, Scoob, it's Devil Radio. Rebel Radio.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
The greatest radio show ever could be your greatest advertising investment ever. Partner with the Devil's Advocates and activate our loyal, educated, and engaged audience today. In-show interviews and sponsored special events considered across Wisconsin. Affordable digital and terrestrial ads available in Chicago and Minneapolis and directly on the Devil Radio app. Make a deal with the Devils and get the Devil's Advocates bump to your bottom line. Call or text 844-967-2789 today. There's only one day I circle on the calendar each year, 420. And there's only one place to stock up for all your 420 needs. Knucklehead CBD and Vapes at 520 State Street. Wednesday, April 20th, join me for a special 420 live broadcast of the Devil's Advocates. Live from Knuckleheads on State Street. Coverage beginning at 420. Check out the tremendous selection that only Knuckleheads offers and stock up on the 420 specials that are worth circling on the calendar. Come celebrate 420 with Fruity, or if you can't wait, go to Knuckleheads today.
Listen to the Empowered Caregiver Show each Saturday and Sunday morning at 9 a.m. with hosts Liza Hellenbrand and Kristen Voss.
Right here on Devil Radio 92.7, WTTN 1580 AM, and the Devil Radio app.
In time, you will know the true power of Devil Radio 92.7. It is your destiny.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. Yesterday afternoon, a man in his 30s was shot outside of the Dane County Jail and died at a local hospital after receiving immediate care after the shooting. Madison Police Chief Sean Barnes said it was very concerning that such an event could take place in the middle of the day between the sheriff's and police departments. The University of Wisconsin-Madison's College of Engineering has hired former Foxconn executive Alan Young as an entrepreneurship consultant. Young was an executive with the Taiwanese-based tech company when the former Walker administration struck a deal with Foxconn. Previously, Foxconn announced a $100 million gift to UW-Madison that the company has to date not delivered on. Snow and rain expected to taper off in the late morning, early afternoon, with close to 1 inch of accumulation possible. Winds up to 20 miles an hour and a high today of 36 degrees. Cloudy skies expected this evening with an overnight low of 24 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Devil Radio programming is produced live in the Solidarity Realty Studios. Find them at solidarityrealty.com. Solidarity Realty. There is an alternative.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. It's getting better right now. I've been joined live in studio by a good friend and a fine guest. He's Batman, Matt Rothschild. He is the executive director of the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign and also an author of a fine book, 12 Ways to Save Democracy in Wisconsin. Matt, great to see you again, man. Hadn't been long, but always great to have you come around.
Hey, Trudy, thanks for having me back. Really appreciate it.
Well, no problem, sir. Let's make sure we got Matt's microphone up loud enough. I want to hear him loud and clear and sexy. Matt, first and foremost, the headline of the day. Tommy Thompson must be seriously considering a timeshare in Florida down near Mar-a-Lago or running for governor of the great state of Wisconsin for what, like a 5th time?
You know, I saw the headline and the first thought across my mind was, wow, is this pathetic? Not so much pathetic that he thinks at 80 or however old he is that he needs to run again and become governor, though that's kind of pathetic. But really pathetic is to feel the need that you got to go down to Mar-a-Lago and kiss the ring. Tommy Thompson should not have to subject himself to that kind of self-degradation to go down and kiss Trump's ring. I thought it was disgusting.
Do you also find me disgusting for wanting to get out the popcorn and enjoy the show? I mean, I'm very excited as a pundit, as a talk radio host. The idea of Tommy Thompson jumping in, mixing up that race, shaking her up. Well, you know, I get a little gleeful, man.
Yeah, it'll make it more interesting. If he doesn't get in, I think Rebecca Clayfish is pretty much on a glide to win the nomination.
She is the establishment choice by all indication. She is waited her turn. It's her turn, right?
And she's got a lot of the endorsements and people have lined up behind her. And
she's been running for the office since effectively she left the lieutenant governor's office in defeat.
And she's been doing what a good candidate's supposed to do. You know, she shows up, she gives money out of her campaign kitty to other people who are running for office. She's just been, you know, dotting her I's, crossing her T's. She's got the inside lane. I don't think Rampton is going to come anywhere close unless just it's crazy time. And it is crazy time in Wisconsin. Let's not forget the far right in this state is off the rockers.
I cannot envision a path to ultimate victory. He could, you know, thread the needle and win the primary, and that'd be the greatest thing that ever happened to Tony Evers.
Yeah, he's not
elective campaign.
Yeah, Tim Rampton is not going to be governor of Wisconsin. I'm prepared to bet the farm on that. But he could get the nomination if just the crazy people show up during primary day.
Matt, what about Kevin Nicholson, the handsome former Marine, former Democrat, sugar baby of the Uline family, apparently?
Yeah, Richard Eline's, you know, favorite young man. I mean, he's just throwing money.
Millions.
I mean, I'm seeing Nicholson on TV acting like he's the only guy who ever got anything done. What has he ever gotten done? He's never held public office. What's he achieved?
He has a very nice storefront in Waukesha that I'm hoping might just come available sometime after August 9th.
You got your eyes on that property.
I did look at least from the exterior, and I thought, man, that'd be a nice location for a radio station in Waukesha.
Yeah, I don't know, you know, why he's running again. I mean, he didn't do well last time around, and you know, he flirted with running for Senate, but Johnson decided at the last minute that, hey, I kind of like this gig, so I'm going to run again. And, you know, the E-lines are split. Elizabeth's been supporting Rebecca Clayfish and Richard supporting Nicholson. I mean, when you've got billions to throw around, I guess it just doesn't really matter. But I don't see Nicholson winning. I think the only person who's got a just crazy outside shot if Tommy doesn't get in is Rampton. But I'm still hoping the Republicans in this state are not totally that crazy.
Can you envision a millionaire self-funder, a guy like Eric Hodvie. I saw his name mentioned in an article about Tommy Thompson earlier. Big ego, one must assume, successful guy. Not a lot of political success in his background, but he's at least run for office before, right?
Yeah, and he flirts with running all the time, but I don't see him throwing his hat in the ring. I mean, Tommy has a possibility of winning. So I can see why it's tempting.
I think Tommy has a good possibility of winning if he's up for the challenge at 80 years old.
Yeah, I'm not sure he could win the nomination, actually, though. I think he could win against Governor Evers in that race.
So you think it's harder for him?
I think it's harder for him to win the Republican primary than to win the governor's mansion.
And why would that be? Because I earlier in the day was plotting sort of a crossover vote campaign on behalf of Tommy. But why do you think you think he could win the general, but would have a hard time winning the nomination in today's Republican Party?
Exactly, because the people who turn out largely in the primary races are the partisans, are the activists, are the ideologues. And Tommy, maybe that's why he's going down to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring, isn't that far right. By the same token, that same virtue helps him in a general election. I think there are a lot of independents and some Democrats who are really pleased that he stood up and rose to the occasion, becoming president of the university, stood up to the Republicans in the legislature who kept wanting to mess with what he was doing over there as far as COVID protection goes. And he said, go ahead and sue me. And I think a lot of people said, yeah, that's real leadership. That's protecting the health and safety of the students and the professors and the staff. I like Tommy. He's the old Tommy. But, I don't think the old Tommy works well in today's Republican circle so much.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. My fine guest, Matt Rothschild. He serves well, hot or cold. He's here with me in studio in the Devil Radio Studio, University Avenue, Madison. Matt, before I forget to ask, you've got a big event tonight. Some might want to come out and see you in person. I am often the beneficiary of your company, but where can people see you tonight?
Bless your heart. Yeah, I'm giving a talk tonight at Madison Downtown Public Library, 7:00. It's a talk about my new book, 12 Ways to Save Democracy in Wisconsin. I'll be selling copies and signing copies if you want to come after my talk. I'll be telling people why I wrote the book, what's happened since I wrote the book, what I think the threats are to our democracy, and give a little bit of hope too. We all need a little bit of hope. And then I'll be signing copies. So yeah, it's room 302 in the Downtown Public Library here in Madison, Wisconsin.
Man, I know you wear a couple of hats, and your hat is the director of the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. I know your organization pointed out some outside spending in an appellate court race going on. And right now, the appellate court, I believe, is held by, I forget her first name, Judge Kornblum. And there is a opponent, and there's $250,000 and perhaps more dark money that's coming to support. But this particular candidate, and I'll let you tell the people who it is, Matt. Damn it, you can't recall?
And I didn't bring my computer.
But... Oh, well, you got mine. So we'll come back to that point after a short.
But anyway, I think it was a group associated with Richard Elon that's throwing all that money into this appellate court race in southeastern Wisconsin. And Elon's throwing a lot of money up in Green Bay in city council races too. It's just crazy. He wants to buy every office in Wisconsin.
Well, you listen to Right Wing Talk Radio right now, and all they are doing is banging the gong about getting out and voting in school board races. I mean, they see that as the new battlefield, the conservative right. And I'm talk radio right. Let's put it that way. I don't know that there is a conservative right over there, but they're looking to fight these battles school board by school board, classroom by classroom. And a lot of it is just predicated on this whole concept. They're sexualizing the schools. They're teaching the kids they're every white person's racist. Well, none of this is really going on. And I hear some of the hosts or hostess, as the case may be, and I'm thinking, you don't have kids in the school. I got kids in the school. They're not learning what you claim they're being indoctrinated to. Man, but what do you think as a political movement? It is certainly galvanizing the grassroots, and it will turn them out, especially next Tuesday in a low turnout spring election. The Republicans are certainly trying to turn out theirs.
I think that's what that's all about. All this, baloney about school curriculum, all this stuff about transgender and today's International Transgender Day. It's just disgraceful the way Republicans have been abusing kids who are transgender. And yeah, I mean, this and the big lie about the November 2020 elections, that's how they think they'll galvanize their base. They don't care if it's not really happening in the schools. They don't care if they know in their heart of hearts that Joe Biden won the election. They're going to keep spinning these lies to get their base out.
Now, Jenny Thomas, Justice Clarence Thomas's wife, Jenny Thomas is apparently kind of up to her eyeballs in this whole January 6th. Outside of some of the troubling text, and when you see what she wrote to Mark Meadows, you're just like, this lady ain't sane.
Right.
But above and beyond that, she is a very activist, sort of big lie supporting. Oh, yeah. And she also happens to be the wife of a Supreme Court justice. And he did not recuse himself on the question of whether or not her very text could be revealed to the public or whether they should be shielded through executive privilege. Matt, I know you've written on this topic. I'm going to let you take it up here. What about Clarence and the Jenny Thomas problem?
Yeah, I mean, this is absolutely disgraceful. This was a blatant conflict of interest, a flagrant conflict of interest by Justice Thomas, not getting off the case. He was the lone dissenter. He was the only one. His conservative brothers and sisters weren't even with him on this, on the U.S. Supreme Court, when it came to whether Trump's documents should be released as they relate to January 6th. And some of those documents were the text from Jenny Thomas to Mark Meadows saying, you know, you got to move heaven and earth to keep Trump in power. I mean, it was just unbelievable how hysterical she was about this subject and just off the wall on it. And, you know, you can see why Justice Clarence Thomas wouldn't want that out there, but you're not supposed to be able to weigh in on a case that directly involves your spouse. He had an obligation, a moral obligation, and in my opinion, a legal obligation to get off. But there's nothing at the U.S. Supreme Court that tells the justice when he or she's got to get off a case.
Well, Matt, we should know from Wisconsin Supreme Court justices, you know, you can't pressure them by saying it's, you know, morally the right thing to do. That's not going to be persuasive, not to a conservative justice, not to Clarence Thomas, not the Gableman, not the Prosser, those that should have recused themselves on the Wisconsin Supreme Court because they were the recipients of millions. And they somehow justified it. I think Prosser's excuse, well, you know, these litigants before the court, well, they didn't give me these millions this year. It was like over a year ago. So those millions, they don't even count.
Yeah, we've got our own problem with recusal here in Wisconsin, and we've got to insist at some point that judges and justices in Wisconsin need to get off cases where they have a blatant conflict of interest.
I insist you all come back. Batman, you included. More Devil's Advocates. Matt Rothschild, my fine guest in studio, World Headquarters Devil Radio.
I'm Batman.
Make it the greatest radio show ever. The Devil's Advocates is my passion. It must be. I've been doing it for a decade. Running 2 Wisconsin radio stations, providing the only platforms of truth and resistance against fascism in a critical swing state. That's a vital mission and a tremendous responsibility. And it all costs money. So support the mission and the show. Join and give at patreon.com at the Devil's Advocates Radio. Help me change hearts and minds and just maybe save democracy.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
The Devil's Advocates.
But do you think the Biden administration's called up Laura Ingraham and making the announcement to the world that we're invading Russia with amphibious troops? Come on, Trump. I mean, and I want to hear fine Trumpsters that want to defend that crap. You know, he's a little late for the early bird buffet. Maybe you people were just naive marks who believed he was a super genius. Then I got some land I'd like to sell you outside of Fukushima.
Check out the entire podcast library at darnwi.com.
Treat yourself to some Wisco Home Goods natural lotions or sugar scrub in 2022. I'm Don, one of the owners of this family-owned Midwestern business in Madison, Wisconsin. Our natural hand soaps, lotions, and sugar scrubs offer you the luxury you deserve. Wisco Home Goods self-care products come in a variety of scents you're sure to love. So go on, add a little pampering to your daily routine. Order at wiscohomegoods.com. Natural, healthy, nourishing self-care, and more at wiscohomegoods.com.
Ooh, I got a live one here.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. The Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Thursday edition. Welcome back from the 420 break. I got a fine guest. He is Batman, Matt Rothschild from the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. Don't forget to go see him. He's out in the public this evening, about 7 o'clock in the public library, Matt.
7 o'clock, public library downtown, room 302.
And he's bringing copies of his new book, 12 Ways to Save Democracy in Wisconsin. And if you ask him nice, I bet he would sell you one and maybe even sign it. I've got an autograph.
That's right. I signed you one. That's right.
I didn't pay for it, though. You know, perks of being in the press.
Plus, you're in the book.
I am. At least you claim I am.
If you ever read it, you'd find out.
There's a footnote somewhere in the back that says Crudy.
No, it's actually in a chapter on how we restore an independent media in Wisconsin.
Man, I was just catching some hell on social media. Apparently, I'm not independent enough. I'm not on the team. I'm not being blue enough. I guess I only can blow the blue whistle and crap on Team Red, partisans. Man, that's not the way I do it. And, once upon a time, I remember I used to love talking to conservatives, Republicans. You mentioned the other day, I had Dale Schultz on, one of my favorite guests. Dale Schultz has advanced the conversation far more than me being an echo chamber of the left ever could, at least in my opinion. So, Matt, I get it. And maybe I'm being a little too adoring of Tommy Thompson because, I think it'd make for great talk radio. But what's your opinion? Where the fever has to break at some point. And I get that democracy is in doubt. And I feel that. And I try to make that point each and every day on the radio. But at the end of the day, how do we persuade the middle? And there still is a middle. And it's a big silent middle, but I think they're persuadable. How do we persuade the moderates, the middle?
I mean, there is a middle, and part of it is engaging in conversation with them. I was listening 2 days ago. You had Dave on, and you had a long conversation with Dave, who I think is very conservative, and you were bringing Dave along, and he started to agree with you on what you were talking about. And I think, over time, there are people in our social circle who may not have voted the way we wanted, unless you're on the Isthmus of Madison, you never meet anybody who didn't vote blue. There are some people, who are decent people otherwise, in the fact that they might have voted a way we didn't like. And we just need to try to bring them back from the edge here and try to, first of all, make them say that, as I'm sure they would say, that January 6th was outrageous. There was an assault on our democracy. And then just point out there are people who are lying about January 6th right now to our face, and they're in the Republican Party. We've got to, even if you're going to stay a Republican, you got to be more sensible than that. We've got to bring people back to a sensible, rational, pro-democracy place where we can engage in conversation. I mean, there are Republicans who are decent Republicans. We got to face that. I mean, Senator Kathy Bernier, Senator Rob Coles, folks like that, Dale Schultz. And we just can't write off, half the population of Wisconsin because they voted for Donald Trump. We got to bring some of those people around.
So what does break the fever? Is it, I maybe am being a little aspirational for Tommy, but is it the right candidate? Is it the right human being? We just get a transitional, transcendent sort of leader. I mean, are we waiting for a local Barack Obama, just someone that's so much better than all the other politicians that they can sort of break this fever between the parties and unite us once again as a state, as a country? I'm hoping for that person, but I'm not sure who that person would be.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that's the best approach, just to hope that someone comes on a white horse and brings us all back together. I think it's more important for us just
Bernie's getting old for a white horse, could break his hip. But
I don't know if he rides either. I think we just got to do it person to person, actually. And if we all just find 2 or 3 people that we know that we can try to, engage with, build a relationship with, gradually nudge these 3 people back, each of us, bring 2 or 3 people along. That's how the great gay and lesbian revolution happened in this country. And I think we can do that with bringing people back to sanity and shared respect for our democracy.
For those that may not join you at the public library tonight, but would still like to see the salvation of democracy, couple of tips, Matt. What do you think the most important thing the listeners could do to help make a difference?
Well, people should join organizations. We've got great organizations in this state, great nonprofit organizations fighting, the good fight on a whole range of fronts, but League of Women Voters, Common Cause, with conservation voters, Disability Rights Wisconsin is a tremendous organization. All these groups we're in conversation with, we're in dialogue with, we're in coalition with at the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. And so, join an organization, join it with a friend, because just to do politics on your own, isolated, is very frustrating, and you're going to burn out, banging your head against the wall. So join an organization, do it with a friend, and then you can do, good politics for a lifetime. That's how I've done it.
Now, on the right, they gin up engagement levels of their supportive base. And part of what they do is they tell a big lie. And I'm not willing to, drum up the lefty base by telling lies. Matt, what should I mean, I know you got a little media journalism broadcast background, Matt. What do you think we should be telling the people? Is it a story about, good policy? Or is it a story about let's freaking save democracy? I mean, what is
the story? And that's what I liked what you were saying in the last half hour. I mean, Build Back Better isn't going to get people out to vote. Saving the soul of America, which is what Biden campaigned on, that's going to get the base out, and that's going to get some independents out and some decent Republicans out, because they're worried about the soul of this country. Kathy Bernier is worried about a republic going down the tubes. And that's the thing to fight on, not just this little policy, that little policy.
I have an action step for the people. Come see my friend, Matt Rothschild. Consider buying the book, 12 Ways to Save Democracy in Wisconsin, written by the aforementioned Matt Rothschild. He'll be selling and signing copies, if you ask nice, at the Madison Public Library, room 302, 7 o'clock this evening. Matt, I hope you have a great turnout.
Thanks a lot, Jordy.
Yeah, man. Always appreciate it when you come by, Batman. This is the Prince soundtrack version. We're expanding the reach of the Batman universe.
This is Bat Dance. You see, Bat Dance.
Did you ever dance with the devil by the pale blue moonlight? Thank you, Matt Rothschild. You don't have to answer that. Come back. More Devil's Advocates. Phone lines open. 844-967-2789. It is a dance party up in here.
Whoever heard.
Stop. Dance off, bro. Me and you.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on. Let's get nuts.
Stay informed with progressive news and talk on Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, McFarland's choice for essential radio.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
Listen to Devil Radio 92.7 and WTTN 1580 AM, Madison's home for progressive news talk radio. Tune in for the political party that is the Devil's Advocates radio show every day from 3 to 6 p.m. Join Native Roots Radio from 6 to 7 p.m. for updates about Native news, culture, and activism. The 7 o'clock hour is for local programming, including the Paul Revere Show on Mondays, Busted Pencils on Tuesdays, and the Up North podcast on Wednesdays.
Listen to the Empowered Caregiver Show each Saturday and Sunday morning at 9 a.m. with hosts Liza Hellenbrand and Kristen Voss.
Right here on Devil Radio 92.7, WTTN 1580 AM and the Devil Radio.
Donahue with an AP News Minute. President Biden is taking a step he says could provide immediate relief from high gas prices. The AP's Sagar Magani has the story.
I know gas prices are painful. I get it.
As prices at the pump have soared, the president's approval rating has fallen sharply. He's blaming the rise on Russia's Ukraine invasion, but says American budgets should not be left to the whims of a dictator. So he's announcing the release of 1 million barrels of oil a day for 6 months from the nation's strategic petroleum reserve, which he says will make a gallon of gas cheaper.
It could come down fairly significantly. It could come down better part of anything from 10 cents to 35 cents a gallon. It's unknown.
The president's also calling for Congress to punish oil and gas companies that lease public lands without actually producing any energy. Sagar Magani at the White House.
And I'm Ed Donahue.
COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too. If you feel symptoms, even if they're mild, you should test fast. Test positive and at high risk for severe COVID-19? Then act fast with authorized oral treatments that can be taken at home and must be taken within 5 days from when symptoms begin. COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too by asking your healthcare provider if an oral treatment is right for you. Learn about a treatment option at treatcv19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer. You're always up for some fun with the family, so you order the essentials, a new board game, some baking supplies, and even a new projector for outdoor movie night. And with the Bank of America customized cash rewards credit card, you can choose to earn 3% cash back on online shopping, which could increase to up to 5.25% as a preferred rewards member. Rewards which you can put toward an extra treat that everyone will enjoy, like an old-fashioned popcorn machine. Visit bankofamerica.com/more rewarding and apply now. Copyright 2021 Bank of America Corporation.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. According to the Dane County Jail, a 37-year-old Madison man turned himself into the Madison police earlier this week after he set fire to one of the tiny homes in the city-owned encampment on the southeast side. The man was booked for tentative charges of arson and several other crimes after threatening law enforcement officers while turning himself in. The Dane County Farmers Market will return to the Capitol Square on April 16th and will be celebrating the market's 50th anniversary this year. Since 1972, when the market first opened, it has grown from 5 vendors to roughly 250 Wisconsin producer members and has become the nation's largest producer-only market. On Wednesday, a 19-year-old Madison man was apprehended in regards to a fatal shooting that took place in January outside of Beloit Memorial High School after a basketball game. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
The Devil's Advocates. So relevant, they have 1 foot in tomorrow.
You wanna ride the white horse.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Apparently, I don't even wear a white hat anymore. I have been catching lots of hell on social media, personal emails. You know, people don't like my topical choices these last couple of days.
Like you're going to change your entire political stripes overnight for Tommy Thompson.
Well, apparently people seem to think I've done so. I am now a sold out righty.
How dare you consider...
Worse than the right because I pretend to be a progressive.
Don't you dare consider anything sane.
You know, I knew I was a little out there with the whole excitement, the gleeful excitement at the news that, you know, Tommy Thompson might jump into the gubernatorial race. But that's more because, you know, life gets boring around here sometimes. You know, throw me a freaking bone. I'm just trying to have some good talk on the radio.
Listen, if all I have is the 4 people that would pretend, including Tommy Thompson, between the Republicans, I will choose Tommy Thompson. But after all that, I'll still go with Tony Evers. Let's move on.
844-967-2789. We're moving on to the phones. Carolyn from Madison. Welcome, Carolyn. What do you got for us?
Hi, I'm curious. Well, I wanted to ask you and Matt, how come that great voting ad is not on the air this whole weekend?
Because ads cost money. And honestly, the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign got a hell of a value from Devil Radio and the Shaw. We extended a tremendous value, but at some point we had to put an expiration point on it. And no one plugged the meter again.
How about for public service? Just this weekend. I mean, of all weekends.
If somebody had presented me with the PSA announcement saying, please go vote, I'd have played it, Carolyn. But, you know, I can't go out and actively seek free advertising from outside sources. That's not the nature of a business model.
Yeah, well, it was a very good ad.
I liked it. I liked the Bucks players. I liked the thought. You know, democracy is under attack. And we do what we can do. We provide the platform, Carolyn. That's my job. It's my job to keep the lights on, keep these fine people working and rowing the boat in one direction. And, sometimes I say stuff that people don't agree with, but ultimately I'm one voice of many voices. And my job is just to keep the lights on and to keep the sounds going out through the radio. And it is other people's jobs, specifically the campaigns, the party apparatus, the different organizations. Well, they've got to do their part as well. And for nonprofits, people like the Disabled Voting Coalition, I mean, we tripled their ad frequency last year, meaning they spent a little bit of money and we acted like they spent $1 million, because that's what I can do. And I do that for nonprofits. I do that for any of those sort of good government groups. I mean, Matt has always been good to us. The Democracy Campaign, if they got a few bucks to spend, they spend it. And I always try to multiply their expenditure as much as I can under things like campaign finance law. So Carolyn, I do my best, but ultimately, if you're not hearing messages to go vote, don't ask me, ask where's the messaging from the Democratic Party?
And to piggyback, if I may piggyback on that.
I'll contribute more to the Democracy Campaign.
Well, they're good people and they are doing the God's work. And, it's kind of contrarian to their thought process, Carolyn, because of course they don't believe that money should be driving all these political campaigns, et cetera. But how we keep the lights on is somebody contributes a couple of shekels towards paying the electric bill. And we can't expect it to be. We're lefty radio is at a little bit of a disadvantage, Carolyn, because we're doing business with local businesses, Madison, Milwaukee, Waukesha. We're trying to support our local community. But the big national brands, the Coca-Colas of the world, they don't give us any money. And then it's time for the political campaigns. And, I'd love to see, and God bless Peter Pekarski, and thank you, Tom Nelson's campaign, and thank you, Chevy Johnson. But there are a lot of candidates out there running for office right now that aren't plugging the meter, that aren't utilizing it, Carolyn. And I'm not trying to be a mercenary here. I've long since given up on the hope of getting rich quick doing the radio show. You know what I mean? It's not about that. It's about, we've all got to be rowing the boat. And so if they bring me messages, or if they even approach me and said, hey, we got $5 to spend, I'd make it sound like $1 million. But there are organizations that literally have millions of dollars to spend and they won't spend 5 cents. Not here. It's quandary, isn't it, Carolyn?
Carolyn, I want to add on this. When I first got to this station, one of my first, it was before Walker was still in as governor, and before Evers got elected. And I knew that to win, we had to get the vote out. So I went and took initiative on myself to write get out the vote ads. And I reached out to the Democratic Party saying, hey, we'll just help us out, throw out some we were going to go and do it for free as well. And it was pulling teeth for months and months and months. I finally got a local rep to come in and read something for us. And then we ran that for a long time, and people were like, oh, thank you so much. And I'm like, I begged you to do this, and normally you should be paying us to do it. And after that, it was like, okay, I don't know what else to do. I'm trying to do everything I can to help.
Carolyn, here's just so we're absolutely clear. We're not on the team. And it's not that when I came to Milwaukee initially, and when I first was a station owner, I came almost demanding to be, I want to be the quarterback of the team. Well, I understand that there was resistance to Crudy's bull and the China shop attitude. And I've certainly paid some price for my bad attitude on the radio and running for governor briefly and a few other dumbass things that Crudy has done through the years. But ultimately, Carolyn, I'm the only guy out here rowing, at least in the media, radio sector. And we got lots of guys that work here, and they're all putting their passions in far beyond what I could ever compensate them for. So my team, these guys are stellar. These guys are doing their part, Carolyn. But if you wonder where the breakdown comes, it's that they don't perceive us as important to the mission. Now, I think talk radio is very important. I think the fact that we've got 81 right-wing talk radio, let's call them competitors, although I don't think they hold a candle to us, Carolyn, but there are 81 more or less profitable right-wing talk radio stations in the state of Wisconsin. And we're still the new guys. You know, even here in Madison, we're about to celebrate 3 years on the FM, 4 years on the AM. That's just a heartbeat in the radio industry. Carolyn, thank you for your call. Appreciate it. So I don't mean to, tell you why I can't help out the get out the vote efforts. Those that are listening to the radio right now and are hearing the sound of my voice, I strongly suspect you knew that there is a spring election on let me get it right, April 5th, next Tuesday. If you didn't know, let me tell you again, go vote next Tuesday. Why is it important? Because there are people up to malfeasance in the local elective races. The Republican Party, their right-wing talk radio apparatus, they're turning out theirs. They are. They're telling people, go vote. So that way you're going to keep your kids safe from gay people and critical race theory. And you think they don't say it like that, do they, Crudy? Yeah, pretty close. Pretty damn close.
Also, today is the last day to be able to ask or request an absentee ballot. Go to myvote.wi.gov to find out what's on your ballot and how to ask for an absentee ballot and what the actual rules are for turning it in. You can also early vote, I believe, starting today or going up until the election.
I'm less clear on all that, on the absentee balloting. I would suggest if you want your vote to count, I would drop it off in person.
There are special places to drop off, and they're listed on myvote.wi.gov.
But there are no absentee drop boxes.
They have to have someone watching.
Okay. I would recommend that you not go to an absentee drop box, seeing as they have been ruled illegal and not eligible for this particular elective cycle. I wouldn't go to the man drop box. I would go to the polling place and I would vote in person. And if you're not comfortable doing that, certainly do what you have to do with the absentee. But part of this effort afoot is to make it harder and to make it easier to, discount your ballot. So I would not take the risk. If I wanted my vote to count, I would show up and I would vote. And that would be the only practice I would take until, we either have clarity from the Wisconsin Supreme Court, or B, they just say never going to accept absentee voter boxes, although that was a Republican proposition once upon a time. That's going to hurt them ultimately, but damned if you do, damned if you don't, if you're trying to steal an election. I did take some encouraging news from the headlines overnight. And I know that Dominic's back because he was actually up posting on social medias overnight. And I'm thinking, Dom's back to work. Finally. So anyways, here was the first posting from my little buddy, and he'll join us soon. 5:00, Dom joins. I'm going to steal a little of his thunder. DOJ targets Trump VIPs as January 6th committee is triangulating investigation. Now, we are going to have a hell of a time moving on until there is a reckoning from the top down on what happened on the January 6th. New information is coming out about expanding the Department of Justice investigation into efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Here's a quote from the Washington Post reporting. The criminal investigation into the January 6th attack on the Capitol has expanded to examine the preparations for the rally that preceded the riot, as the Justice Department aims to determine the full extent of any conspiracy to stop Congress from certifying Joe Biden's election victory, according to people familiar with the matter. That's the only troubling part about that statement from the Washington Post. Now, yesterday, I gave a lot of credibility to the verified reporting on the Hunter Biden. Some of you objected to that. But we've got to look at the quality of the sources we choose to gain information. And I give credibility to the Washington Post. I give less credibility to the unnamed sources, people familiar with the matter, but I have no doubt about the veracity of this story. I'm going to continue reading. In the past 2 months, a federal grand jury in Washington has issued subpoena requests to some officials, I wish they'd name those officials, in former President Donald Trump's orbit, who assisted in the planning, funding, and executing of the January 6th rally. Now, more details were revealed in the subsequent story at the New York Times, a little bit of their reporting. A grand jury sitting in Washington is investigating the rallies that preceded the storming of the Capitol. A person familiar with the matter said apparently there are multiple people out leaking stories to the Post and the Times. One of the subpoenas, which was reviewed by the New York Times, sought information about people classified as VIP attendees. So you know that's got to be all the Trumps, right? At Mr. Trump's January 6th rally, the newspaper reported. It also sought information about members of the executive and legislative branches who have been involved in the planning or execution of any rally or any attempt to obstruct, influence, impede, or delay the certification of the 2020 election.
What about planning and execution?
Did I not say that? That was part of the list, wasn't it? Obstruct, influence, impede, or delay the certification of the 2020 election. Depends on who's, planning and execution. That's how the Senate started. It was in there. Don't be confusing me.
I wasn't trying to confuse you. I was just referring to the gallows.
Oh, I see. Quick quote. We're triangulating basically from a lot of different angles, and we're getting a fulsome picture of what happened in the run-up and on the day of January 6th, according to Rep. Stephanie Miller, Democrat from Florida. Also on Wednesday, The Guardian reported the White House call log gap from January 6th. Donald Trump used an official White House phone to place at least one call from the Capitol attack on January 6th last year that should have been reflected in the internal presidential call logs, but was not, according to two sources. The former president called on the phone a Republican senator, Mike Lee, with the number recorded, and they give out the number 202-395 and then some zeros, a placeholder number that shows up when a call is incoming from a member of the White House Department phones, these sources said. So he made calls, and then he destroyed the record of the calls. Very Nixonian. Come back with us. Your calls could be next. If I don't delete them all, 844-967-2789.
I don't want to beat a dead horse.
Horsey McHorseface.
Hi, everyone. Al Roker here. As a guy with his own catchphrase, I appreciate that Smokey's only said,
"Only you can prevent wildfires."
But I'm filling in because there's a lot more to report. Like when there are parched or windy conditions out there, you gotta be extra careful with things like burning yard waste. After all, wildfires can start anywhere, even in your neck of the woods. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Spruce up your home with soy candles from Wisco Home Goods. I'm Don, one of the owners of this family-owned Midwestern business in Madison, Wisconsin. Our candles are 100% sustainable and come in a variety of unique blends and scents. Did you know our candle jars are also double old-fashioned glasses? That's right, buy a candle and you get a free cocktail glass. Check out our blog at wiscohomegoods.com/blog for more information. That's wiscohomegoods.com/blog.
Douglas LaFollette, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show.
Good to be here, Mike. Across the country, in most every state, the Secretary of State is the person who is in charge of the election. And we've seen lots of hanky-panky in Florida back during the Al Gore elections, in Ohio and Georgia and Arizona and Michigan.
We appreciate you coming around, sir.
Check out the entire podcast library at darnwi.com.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstad at the Monaco Brewing Company, and I am proud to introduce you to Choice, our new pink grapefruit flavored hard seltzer. Choice was made in collaboration with Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin, and 5% of the proceeds from every can goes to support them and their fight for reproductive freedom. Choice hard seltzer tastes great and comes in at only 105 calories per can. Go to our website, monacobrewingcompany.com, to find where you can buy Choice hard seltzer.
Devil's Advocates, making radio great again.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Thursday edition. I've got some encouraging reporting out of the great state of Florida. A judge blocks Florida's racist voting laws in a blistering ruling. The subheadline, "Shut it down." Here's a quote from the judge, Judge Mark Walker. Unfortunate last name. The court finds that in the past 20 years, Florida has repeatedly sought to make voting tougher for Black voters. I'm going to read a little bit from the Daily Beast here. A federal judge permanently blocked Florida's new voter suppression laws from going to effect on Thursday, issuing a blistering ruling that said the bill unfairly and unconstitutionally violated minorities' voting rights. I wish this guy served in the Wisconsin circuit. U.S. District Judge Mark Walker blocked 3 major components of the sweeping bill from going into effect because they suppress Black voters. Specifically, a requirement that third-party voter registration drives include a warning such as telling voters their registrations might not be done in time to vote. New limits on ballot drop boxes, including confining them to early voting hours unless they're in a supervisor's office and requiring them to be guarded at all time. Now, that very much resembles the newest move afoot here in the state of Wisconsin, only they've got the state Supreme Court involved and a new law criminalizing the act of helping voters in line, even if it's something as simple as handing out water or snacks. Now, Fancy Brian's in line. You better give the man a snack, man. You don't want him hangry.
Don't you worry, I bring him on me all the time.
No hangry voting. Walker, a Obama appointee, was also put the state back. And I didn't know a federal judge could do this, but this is excellent news for the state of Florida and perhaps the greater nation. Let me spend a little time explaining. Walker, an Obama appointee, also put the state of Florida back into pre-clearance status under the Voting Rights Act for the next 10 years because Florida has repeatedly, recently, and persistently acted to deny Black Floridians access to the franchise. Pre-clearance means Florida will need to obtain federal approval before passing new laws related to those 3 issues. In his 288-page ruling, that's a hell of a ruling, sir. Walker shredded Florida's grotesque history of racial discrimination in voting and said Senate Bill 90, signed into law by Governor Ron DeSantis earlier this year, added to 2 decades of incremental attacks on voting rights. He went a step further than suggesting such attacks disproportionately affect Black voters, instead saying that racism was a motivating factor in SB 90's adoption. When a federal judge calls the governor and the legislative Republicans in Florida racist for their adoption of a bill, I mean, that's pretty stark language. Here's a quote. At some point, when the Florida legislature passes law after law disproportionately burdening Black voters, this court can no longer accept that the effect is incidental. Based on the indisputable pattern set out above, this court finds that in the past 20 years, Florida has repeatedly sought to make voting tougher for Black voters because of their propensity to favor Democratic candidates. How is that any different than what's happening in the state of Wisconsin? It also slammed the higher courts, namely the Supreme Court, for gutting the Voting Rights Act and losing sight of the spirit that spurred its passage. Federal courts would not countenance a law denying Christians their sacred right to prayer, and they should not countenance a law denying Floridians their sacred right to vote. Florida law is one of several alarming voter suppression laws to be implemented across the nation in response to frenzied but evidence-free claims of widespread election fraud in 2020. The Department of Justice is suing Georgia for a bill that mirrors Florida's. And the Florida lawsuit was filed by the League of Women Voters in Florida and the NAACP against the Florida Secretary of State, Laurel Lee, the National Republican Senatorial Committee, the Republican National Committee, and other state officials. Defendants argue that SB 90 makes minor prophylactic changes to the election code. What's that mean? Wrapping them all in a condom? Plaintiffs, on the other hand, allege that SB 90 runs roughshod over the right to vote, unnecessarily makes voting harder for all eligible Floridians, unduly burdening disabled voters, and intentionally targeting minority voters, all to improve the electoral prospects of the party in power. After reviewing thousands of pages of evidence and listening to 2 weeks of testimony from 42 witnesses, this court finds that for the most part, Plaintiffs are right, Walker wrote. While Walker's injunction is permanent, his ruling is likely to be appealed to the more conservative-leaning 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals.
If I'm not interested in your opinion, just shut it off.
844-967-2789. Jake from Milwaukee. Welcome, Jake. What do you got for us?
Hello. Yeah. Wow. There's a lot of things. But I guess it's just, this goes back to the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. You guys, and I'm saying this to them. I thought I was going to get better under Ben Wickler, but it hasn't. You guys are weak. I'm sorry. You're used to losing Democratic Party, and I don't see you guys changing anything. I mean, even advertising or getting out just so that you're there. Hey, maybe even the ad for Tony Evers and him. But I don't see you do anything. I mean, you don't do anything that is media related. So you can get out and say, hey, Tony Evers did this. This is great, right? You know,
Jake,
a commercial here or there.
I'm not here I'm not here to defend the Democratic Party, but it has become a fundraising apparatus under Ben Wickler, and they do turn around and funnel money back to the respective campaigns of a guy like Tony Evers or someone like Chevy Johnson, just got $100,000 from the Democratic Party of Wisconsin in the mayoral race. It's up to Chevy. It's up to Evers' campaign to decide what they're going to spend that money on. I don't know. I would spend money differently if I was the Democratic Party, but at least they are turning it around into the individual campaigns.
But they're weak. I'm sorry. They're weak in this state, and they're used to being losers. I'm a progressive, and I vote for Democrats because it's the only thing I have, and they know that. They know that for a lot of us lefties, that's the only thing we have, and it's better than the alternative. It is. So, but they have to do better. And they're not. I don't think they are. And I just wish they would do something new. Use all your options. They don't do that. They need it. You should punch back twice as hard as the bully. They don't. You don't hear them saying they're wrong. This is a fact. My whatever person is wrong. They don't do that. They need to start doing it. You don't have to lie. You can tell the truth, but you can't be weak.
Jake, excellent point. I appreciate you making it. That way I don't have to be the bad guy for a change. Come back with us. Hardly ever the bad guy. My little buddy Dominic returns from an adventure in a beach in Florida. I bet he's got tan lines. More Devil's Advocates. He'll tell you all about them. I'm quite confident. Come back on the other side, the Happier Happy Hour. Now, with more Dominic.
I think this situation absolutely requires a really futile and stupid gesture be done on somebody's part.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Hey, it's Rocker, and I'm lifting off from Sal's Tomato Pies, enjoying a brand new cocktail called the Cosmonaut. It's an improved take on the classic cocktail with Madison-made Rocker vodka, featuring orange liqueur, house-made citrus cordial, lime, and cranberry. Experience liftoff with the Cosmonaut, the new cocktail featuring Rocker vodka at Sal's Tomato Pies in Sun Prairie, Madison, and the Dark Horse Art Bar. Must be 21. Please drink responsibly.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus, W224 EG Madison, always streaming on the Devil Radio app.
I'm Ed Donahue. President Biden says Russia and Vladimir Putin are not being upfront about their intentions in Ukraine.
There is no clear evidence that he's pulling all of his forces out of Kiev. There is also evidence that he is beefing up his troops down in the Donbass area. depending on your view of Putin, I'm a little skeptical.
Fighting continues near Kyiv and other zones. There are indications the Kremlin is using talk of de-escalation as cover while regrouping and resupplying its forces. Sources have said Vladimir Putin is being misled by advisors.
That's an open question. There's a lot of speculation. But he seems to be, I'm not saying this with a certainty, he seems to be self-isolated.
Ukraine's state-owned nuclear power company says Russian forces have begun leaving the damaged Chernobyl nuclear plant after soldiers got significant doses of radiation from digging trenches at the highly contaminated site. President Biden announced the release of 1 million barrels of oil per day from the nation's Strategic Petroleum Reserve for 6 months. A student was shot at a Greenville, South Carolina middle school and was taken to a hospital. Sheriff Hobart Lewis says an arrest was made. It was another student.
He was hiding. Again, he's a young man. Probably didn't understand the consequences of what had just occurred and the severity of it.
Deputies in South Carolina are still investigating the shooting and don't know why it happened. A federal judge struck down portions of a Florida election law passed last year, citing what he said were subtle tactics by the Republican-led government to suppress black voters. The law tightened rules on mailed ballots, drop boxes, and other popular election methods. Early results show Amazon workers in Alabama rejected a union bid for a second time. The market closed out its worst quarter since the pandemic broke out. The Dow finished down 550 points. This is AP News.
COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too. If you feel symptoms, even if they're mild, you should test fast. Test positive and at high risk for severe COVID-19? Then act fast with authorized oral treatments that can be taken at home and must be taken within 5 days from when symptoms begin. COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too by asking your healthcare provider if an oral treatment is right for you. Learn about a treatment option at treatcv19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
You're always up for some fun with the family, so you order the essentials, a new board game, some baking supplies, and even a new projector for outdoor movie night. And with the Bank of America customized Cash Rewards credit card, you can choose to earn 3% cash back on online shopping, which could increase to up to 5.25% as a preferred rewards member. Rewards which you can put toward an extra treat that everyone will enjoy, like an old-fashioned popcorn machine. Visit bankofamerica.com/more rewarding and apply now. Copyright 2021 Bank of America Corporation.
I am once again asking you to listen to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM. I believe they have the moral fiber to create a progressive movement in Wisconsin and indeed in America.
This is Pat Slattery of Slattery's Automotive Service in Verona. Established in 1973, I've been servicing and repairing cars in the Madison community for nearly 50 years. You can trust me to tell you what your car really needs and fix it right the first time. Give me a call at 608-848-6123 to schedule an appointment today. Slattery's Automotive Service, your trusted choice for local service and repairs for all your automotive needs.
Devil Radio has been kicking ass, earning every listener, and providing our sponsors return on investment 3 years now on the Madison airwaves. And there has never been a better time than right now to advertise with us and join the Devil Radio community. Our audience is loyal and growing every day. Active listeners that don't flip. Wonder if your ad dollars are working? Devil Radio listeners will tell you it works. Ad production is included. Devil Radio will make it easy for you to start seeing return on your investment. Call today.
Knucklehead CBD and Vapes has been a staple of Madison, carrying a variety of products including CBD, Delta, and Wellness Plus, vapes, and smoke accessories. Located on State Street, they have daily deals and reward programs that provide great savings on products you already use and enjoy. Stop into Knucklehead CBD and Vapes, located at 520 State Street, or online at knuckleheads.shop. Knuckleheads.shop, or visit their store located at 520 State Street.
Friends don't let friends spread fake news. Make sure to follow Devil Radio on Facebook and Twitter and stay up to date with the most important stories of the day.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines.
On Wednesday, a Dane County judge found Wisconsin Assembly Speaker Robin Vos in contempt of court for failing to turn over documents related to an open records request into the Republican-authorized review of the state's 2020 election. Judge Valerie Bailey Wren ordered Vos and the state assembly to turn over the open records involved within 14 days and to each pay $1,000 per day if they fail to do so in that time frame. Wisconsin taxpayers are likely to have to pick up the cost for the legislature and the assembly speaker's contempt charges, along with the $676,000 Republicans have authorized for the 2020 election review. Snow and rain expected to taper off in the late morning, early afternoon, with close to 1 inch of accumulation possible. Winds up to 20 miles an hour and a high today of 36 degrees. Cloudy skies expected this evening with an overnight low of 24 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio.
Devil Radio programming is produced live in the Solidarity Realty Studios. Find them at solidarityrealty.com. Solidarity Realty. There is an alternative.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. 3, 2, 1. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Friday Eve edition. Rolling into the happier 5 o'clock happy hour, and I'm happy to welcome back my tan little buddy Dominic, fresh off a beach in Florida, man. Here's the question everyone's dying to ask. Did you sport that yellow Speedo?
Oh, hell no. I got a blue one. But no tan lines, baby. That's my gangster rap name. Hey, good to be back, Rudy. It was a beautiful trip down to the FLA. I had lots of sun in the 80s pretty much the whole time I was there. So I am recharged and ready to go. Anything been happening since I've been gone?
I'm so very happy for your opportunity to go to sunny and warm Florida. And you brought back snow. So thanks for that as well.
I didn't bring that back. I'm bringing some sunshine, baby.
Well, bring the pain right on the radio. You can always be a part of this big show. 844-967-2789. Dom, catching up for a grueling 2-day work week.
Oh, just in time.
Tomorrow on the big show, we've got Charles Franklin.
Excellent.
Yeah, I got Charles. Well, before you come around, I got Charles earlier in the big program, 3 o'clock hour, new national polling out, U.S. Supreme Court. And some of the early indication I saw others take on the polling. Ketanji Brown Jackson, a very, very popular choice, perhaps the most popular nominee in modern history.
Wow.
So we'll talk all about that with Charles Franklin, pollster extraordinaire, tomorrow, 3:30, long before Dom rolls into work.
Now, has this poll been released already, or will it be released tomorrow?
National polling has been released.
It has been. And they asked about, Clarence Thomas and his insurrectionist
all the way
wife.
back. Well, that I'm less clear about.
You know what I'm saying?
They did compare some historical polling on Clarence Thomas from the point where he was initially confirmed to the court. So she, Ketanji Brown Jackson, far more popular at this point in her nomination process than any of the predecessors. And it ain't even close.
Well, she's sharp as a whip. I'm not surprised. But come on, man. Clarence Thomas and Ginny? Really? I mean, this whole, you must recuse yourself if any. No, he already played his cards. He was the only vote against releasing the data that showed that his wife was dialed into the QAnon, pushing all this stuff. Oh, I mean, what?
Let me give you the response. So what? Can't make him recuse. You won't ever successfully impeach him. He couldn't even impeach the corrupted former president.
So you don't try. I mean, don't you wonder, Crudy, do you think that Clarence Thomas is of sound mind and ethics when he casts that?
Oh, ethics? Vote? Hell no.
Hell no. Okay, so you're okay with leaving him on there and just another thing. Why impeach him? It's not going to work. Why impeach Trump? It's not going to work. I mean, why? What the hell? Why bother even voting? I mean, we're all doomed to hell.
Slow down, man. I didn't say don't vote.
Well, you
don't put words in my mouth, Salvia.
You fight every chance you get, and Clarence Thomas can go to hell, man.
Well, I don't like going out in the schoolyard and getting my ass kicked in a losing battle. I'm going to go fight a fight I'm going to win. I'm all down for fighting. Don't act like I don't know how to fight, man.
So then if that's the case, then if your Crudy was a federal prosecutor, you're one of those guys that would only take the case if it's a guaranteed win. Sometimes you got to throw it against the wall, man. Sometimes you got to stand up for what is right. And to have Clarence Thomas remain on that court, I mean, this is beyond the pale.
I'm just saying, in a practical sense, nothing you can do about it, man. Nothing. There is no instrument for you or I or any other lefty in our outrage. AOC said resign or face impeachment. And, I agree with the sentiment somewhere deep down, but that ain't going to happen. You don't really have the votes, right? You're not going to get 2/3 majority to remove Clarence Thomas. Hell, you're not even getting Republicans to speak up and say, maybe he should recuse on this singular issue where his wife is up to her, pearl-covered neck.
He already cast the vote to try and continue to conceal her involvement in an ongoing insurrection in this country as a Supreme Court justice. I mean,
you got a problem with that.
Yeah, I got a little problem with that. I got a little bitty problem with that. So no, I mean, I just, and I understand your point, Crudy. Oh, why? But the same issue would come up about impeaching Trump. Do you think it was proper to impeach Trump twice?
Certainly the second time. I mean, the gravity of the allegations was basically he incited the January 6th. I think when the evidence plays out, yeah, I think that ultimately Trump will be found guilty. Whether or not he ever serves time, that's a whole different question. But do I think the second impeachment was worthwhile? Yeah, even if just for history's sake. The first impeachment.
So what? Wait, okay, very good. So for history's sake. So why not for history's sake put a marker on the ground to say if your insurrectionist spouse
when are you going to do this?
Actively involved
when are you
in
trying
to overthrow the United States government while you're a sitting Supreme Court justice, that we're going to take umbrage with that.
Okay, here's a couple of
But for history, what is the difference? What is the difference? That's my question to you.
What's happening this November, Dom?
I'll answer that question when you answer mine. You said it's okay to do it to Trump, if nothing else, for history's sake. Why not take that same attitude about Thomas?
Less history to impeach Supreme Court justices. Been over a couple hundred years. If you had a specific conviction, let's say of Jenny Thomas, if it turns out she was a funding source or a direct conspirator in this January 6th, and not just sort of someone's crazy wife sending off text missives to Mark Meadows, because I don't see criminality in being somebody's crazy wife. I see him posting all over Facebook, and there's plenty of crazy husbands too. So don't think this is misogyny on my part. But what I would say is, if there was a specific criminal conviction of Jenny Thomas and it came up before the Supreme Court and Clarence still wanted to rule on that one, yeah. And ruled in his wife's favor somehow, whatever. He
already did this. He already did it.
I know I know that's how you perceive.
Okay, so if he does it again, then it's for history's sake.
But at the end of the day, you don't have the means to remove him from the court. You are in the midst of a midterm year. So while that might seem great, man, I want a pound of flesh, that's not really going to get a pound of flesh, but let's go to impeachment in the middle of the midterms.
What? So justice has to work around the election season, huh?
I'm telling you, justice often does have to work around the election season. Otherwise, it comes off as partisan.
What? It's not like Thomas is up for election, man. What are you talking about?
No, but everybody that would rule on his impeachment is. And you're not going to get any Republican support. They've already shown that. They're already not even asking him or pressuring him to recuse. If anything, they're giving him cover, right? The Republicans have already shown they stand with their man. So they're not going to vote to impeach this guy. And if you do something like this. Well, if you don't like defund the police, try impeach Clarence Thomas and see how that plays in the midterms.
Okay,
and when you hand the
play out some
House back to the
scenarios.
Republicans in the midterms, they'll turn around and impeach Joe Biden and maybe Ketanji Brown Jackson.
On what charge? For what?
Doesn't matter, right?
Well, it does matter.
Just
Cody.
for the
It
sake of
absolutely
history.
matters. So let me ask you this then. Are you fine with the J6 committee subpoenaing Ginny Thompson?
Sure.
But isn't that harassment? Why would you be okay with that?
I'm okay if the DOJ puts her in front of a grand jury. But I don't think
Okay,
that
how about discovery then? Does
strategic-
discovery, if you do that, you put her in front of a grand jury and you go for discovery and you try to get, subpoena phone records and computer records and emails. And there's, marital conversation between a husband and wife about, say, hey, Ginny, I mean, don't you think the timing?
Well, I don't think you
Thomas,
can
hang on,
compel
wait a
a
minute. Don't you
wife
think the
to
timing-
testify against their spouse anyways.
Don't you think the timing of Thomas's illness is suspect?
No, I mean, I
Like
don't
2
think
weeks ago,
I don't think you've got a healthy
under
guy.
the weather for 2 weeks, and all of a sudden, all this comes out. You don't think that had any impact on him whatsoever? If you knew you're going to go through the churn, you don't think that had anything to do with this? I think it does. I think it's very relevant, and I think they had communications regarding this case that was before him, where he was the only one. And if he and his wife discussed the insurrection and her role in it, and there's electronic communications thereof, and he decided because of that, his wife, that he voted the way he did, would that be grounds for impeachment?
Well, first and foremost, I would hope someone who has been impaneled on the U.S. Supreme Court would have the good sense to get themselves a burner phone. You know what I'm saying?
I don't even know what a burner phone is.
And above and beyond that, I got to tell you, I think that if Clarence and Ginny are having this sort of pillow talk,
of course they
as you and I often have through the years when we go on the
course,
road,
man. You know, baby.
late at night.
Those are pillows.
So, do I think they've had these conversations? Sure, I
Yeah.
absolutely do. I do think he is corrupted. I do think that he is worthy of impeachment, but I think from a practical point of view, it is the midterm year. And you gotta be aware of the politics of this. If it's not going to be a successful impeachment, do you go lose the House over it? Do you go hand impeachment power over to the Republicans so they can take their swings at Joe Biden next?
They're going to, again, Curdy, I'm tired of waiting to see what will happen then. They're going to do those
How
things.
about we go out and campaign
anyway.
and
Just-
try to
just like
retain
when
the
it was-
House?
When it was Bernie Sanders, they're going to, whoever won, they're going to call the socialist. And what happened? Everyone's the socialist. I mean, that's what they do. I'm not going to worry about what they're going to do. We know what they're going to do. The question is, what do we do?
We go campaign and we win the House and we win the U.S. Senate and we hold serve, man. And perhaps we hold the executive branch as well in 2024.
How about holding the judicial branch responsible for their actions? What's the point of the House and the Senate and having the ability, if you don't exercise that power, to get rid of the corruption which is so badly needed in this country?
Immunity. I mean, effectively, if you want diplomatic immunity, go get yourself put on the U.S. Supreme Court.
It's just been revoked, bitch.
Come back, more Devil's Advocates. My tan little buddy, no tan lions. Dominic's back from the beach. You could be on the phones, 844-967-2789.
Judicial system. Tradition. Diplomatic community.
Fuck that guy.
Make it the greatest radio show ever. The Devil's Advocates is my passion. It must be. I've been doing it for a decade. Running two Wisconsin radio stations, providing the only platforms of truth and resistance against fascism in a critical swing state. That's a vital mission and a tremendous responsibility. And it all costs money. So support the mission and the show. Join and give at patreon.com at the Devil's Advocates Radio. Help me change hearts and minds and just maybe save democracy.
President
Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
Suddenly, my quarterback is the #1 trending topic. Why, you might ask, is Aaron Rodgers trending on Twitter? He's out this game. He's got COVID-19. And to my perception, he freaking lied to us, man. I'm very frustrated that he is not eligible to play this Sunday, especially when you find out your quarterback is a half a Trumpster. And he claims, I'm not a flat earther. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I just play one in the NFL. That pisses me off, man. I was going to bet on that team. Maybe. New time, 3 to 6 p.m. And Dom.
Treat yourself to some Wisco Home Goods natural lotions or sugar scrub in 2022. I'm Don, one of the owners of this family-owned Midwestern business in Madison, Wisconsin. Our natural hand soaps, lotions, and sugar scrubs offer you the luxury you deserve. Wisco Home Goods self-care products come in a variety of scents you're sure to love. So go on, add a little pampering to your daily routine. Order at wiscohomegoods.com. Natural, healthy, nourishing self-care and more at wiscohomegoods.com.
The Devil's Advocates, political commentary from the back of the class.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. We are the Harvesters of Sorrow. You can join us at 844-967-2789.
Oh, so you've seen some of my fan mail this week.
Wow, Crudy, making friends and influencing people as always.
You know, I don't make the headlines. I just follow the headlines. And when sometimes the headlines, let's say, favor the other team. I scribbled a little note to myself yesterday, just so I could remember. I wrote, try to be intellectually honest. I got to remind myself sometimes.
You got to write that on your hand? Come on, of course. Why not? I mean, that should be the natural state.
Because sometimes the headlines don't favor my team. Sometimes there's some bad stuff in the Washington Post about Hunter Biden.
Okay. Well, who's writing the headlines and what they're regarding is certainly, something you need to be aware of. And I'd say the same thing about Hunter Biden, as we've said before, about any of the other president's kids or family. If there is an indictment that did some illegalities, then justice should prevail. It's very simple for me.
Well, you and I have a very similar attitude about Hunter Biden. And if he's a crook, convict, or at least indict and then convict or whatever. Not my problem. Really not Joe Biden's problem, except
on top of that, though. I mean, what, Jared and Ivanka made like $640 million while in the White House. I mean, if you stuck a microscope up their asses, I bet you would find some, questionable behavior. Just say it.
Maybe. The other thing the audience didn't appreciate, apparently, I was a little bit gleeful about Tommy Thompson threatening to get in the race. I like the memory of what Wisconsin was like when Tommy Thompson was the governor.
Man, you know that. You could never go back.
You can go back to an ex. You've been back to plenty of exes. Maybe not since you got married.
For a night or two, man, but it's never going to last. And Tommy Thompson, what are you doing, dude? You're going to go down and bend the knee to Trump just like Clayfish did? I mean, you're on the back nine of your life, bro. You just came out. You just came out of doing a decent job at the UW.
I thought he did a stand-up job, a bang-up job.
Why would you want to get involved in this? And and it will be telling when he comes out what he says. Will be absolutely telling. He starts talking about the big lie and using all the terms and euphemisms of.
Well, then Tommy I would be less gleeful, but I was gleeful.
He's already there, dude. He's already bending the knee. I mean, if he's going down there doing anything other than the Will Smith slap to Donald Trump for what he did to this country, he's already being subservient to Trump just by going there.
I know you haven't been working lately, but I've long since moved on beyond Will Smith slapping a man. 844-967-2789. As a talk radio host, and I got to do it 3 hours a day, only one with you. I got time to fill, man. Tommy fills time. So I was a little gleeful. I saw a compelling
gleeful in what regard? The fact that he jump into the race and kind of shake it up for the current.
Yeah, that would make me gleeful. I also think if he wants to run, he will win. I think that will be the case. Now, I'm not rooting against Tony Evers.
Oh, you think he's going to win? You think Tommy Thompson would win against Evers?
Yes, I do. In a head-to-head matchup.
You've been hanging out with some of that pillow guy and Hunter Biden crack smoking, man. What are you talking about? I mean, what makes you think that he would pull over, especially because the only way for him to win that primary is to be crazier than the other ladies out there?
No, I don't think that's true.
Oh, okay. Tommy Thompson, did Joe Biden win a free and fair election?
Who's going to have the highest?
He's going to say yes or no. And if it's yes, he did, then he's not going to get the
Ram Jam vote. No, Random's going to get the Ram Jam vote
or the Nicholson votes.
Well, I'm hoping for a divided Republican electorate, man.
It's
that part
divided.
of it. Oh,
yeah. I don't see the path for Tommy Thompson. If he says yes,
well, I'm cheering for that party to come part at the seams during this elective cycle. I think that Tommy Thompson will offer a hell of a contrast against the Ram Jams. But ultimately, I was a little gleeful when Ram Jam got in. I don't think he's going to be the next governor. My only tempering of my glee for Tommy's candidacy is the fact that I am afraid he will be the next governor of the state of Wisconsin should he choose to run.
I don't see that happening at all. But, what are you going to do? It's going to be
how important.
I don't know how he comes out and gets, the only way he runs is if he gets Trump support. Why else would he be down there? So everyone's vying for Trump support. And the only way to do that is to toe the line. As soon as you start towing the line, any moderate or independent is not going to vote for that guy. And
if I could go down to Southern Florida this week, like you did last week, if you would have had to go stop by Mar-a-Lago and have lunch, one scoop of ice cream with Trump this week, and he would have paid for your whole trip to Florida, you'd have taken that deal. I know you.
Absolutely not. No. Trump is dead to me.
That was after you shook his hand.
He shook my hand.
844-967-2789. Let's let the audience in. I can tell they want in. Dick from the garage. You're first, last, whatever. You're up.
Well,
hey, Dick.
Tommy Thompson was going to ride roughshod over Tammy Baldwin too when he ran for Senate.
Right.
So, that way.
Different candidate. Tammy Baldwin, look at the same ballot in 2018 and compare the outcome for Tammy and the outcome for Tony Evers. Different candidates.
But I will tell you this. I thought when they ran against each other, I said something that you draw a line about much further north of Wisconsin Dells, and you know where I'm going with this. And she is a politically brilliant woman. That woman, she just gets it out there. And I don't know why more people don't go to her that are running statewide and say, hey, how do you do this?
Well, I can tell you what, Dick, I appreciate your call. She would not be running, advocating on let's go impeach Clarence Thomas. She'd be out there trying to deliver for her constituents. She would be out there publicly dealing with her constituents, being available to her constituents. And a progressive like Tammy Baldwin, I mean, she won by 10 points. Evers won by 31,000 votes. They're not the same candidate. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. That's Tom. He ain't Crudy. He's like me, but more tan. 844-967-2789. Phone lines, a couple of them open for you.
The sun, also. You got to get the sun.
Go get him. I find your lack of Devil Radio 92.7 disturbing. Do not fail me again.
Hey, Jimmy, it's Rocker. Meet me at the new Dark Horse Art Bar in East Wash. Happy hour is Tuesday through Saturday, 4 to 6 p.m. You pick the day. 2-for-1 rail drinks and slices of Sal's tomato pies for $1. Jimmy, it's happy hour at the Dark Horse Art Bar. 756 East Washington in Madison, across from the Sylvie.
Madison's newest happy hour, craft cocktail, local art and music. Find out more at the new Dark Horse Art Bar and Gallery, online at darkhorsemadison.com.
The real estate market in Dane County and surrounding areas has been a bit of a hot mess this year. Listings are being picked off above asking prices and without the home inspection contingencies. I'm Todd Osborne, owner of Orion Inspections, and even if I weren't a home inspector, I'd still cringe a little if any of my friends or family tried to buy a home without an inspection. Let's take a good hard look at that house before you sign. Want to know more? I'm here to help. OrionInspections.com. That's Orion, like the constellation, inspections.com.
An AP News Minute. A student was shot today at Tanglewood Middle School in Greenville, South Carolina. Sheriff Hobart Lewis says that student was taken to a hospital.
The suspect's in custody. We can't elaborate a whole lot on that. So there's not a danger to the community at all. Unfortunately, these are two young men that attended school here. We don't really know the specifics of why it occurred.
Lewis says the suspect was found hiding near the school. With gas prices soaring, President Biden is ordering the release of 1 million barrels of oil per day from the nation's strategic petroleum reserve for 6 months. He says it's hard to say when prices will drop.
But it will come down, and it could come down fairly significantly. It could come down the better part of anything from 10 cents to 35 cents a gallon. It's unknown at this point.
A federal judge struck down portions of a Florida election law, ruling the state was using subtle tactics to suppress black voters. I'm Ed Don.
COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too. If you feel symptoms, even if they're mild, you should test fast. Test positive and at high risk for severe COVID-19? Then act fast with authorized oral treatments that can be taken at home and must be taken within 5 days from when symptoms begin. COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too by asking your healthcare provider if an oral treatment is right for you. Learn about a treatment option at treatcv19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
You're always up for some fun with the family, so you order the essentials, a new board game, some baking supplies, and even a new projector for outdoor movie night. And with the Bank of America customized Cash Rewards credit card, you can choose to earn 3% cash back on online shopping, which could increase to up to 5.25% as a preferred rewards member. Rewards which you can put toward an extra treat that everyone will enjoy, like an old-fashioned popcorn machine. Visit bankofamerica.com/more rewarding and apply now. Copyright 2021 Bank of America Corporation.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. An attorney from Chippewa Falls who had sued in November of 2020 to overturn Wisconsin's election results and has written memos supporting State Representative Timothy Rantham's effort to decertify Wisconsin's 2020 election result, announced her candidacy for the Republican nomination to be the state's next attorney general. Outside of her election views that experts say are illegal, Karen Mueller announced with the launch of her campaign, she will investigate doctors who are not prescribing ivermectin to patients with COVID-19 if she becomes Wisconsin's attorney general next year. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is set to become 988 this summer after the passage of a bill sponsored by Democratic U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin. The change will go into effect nationally on July 16th, and Wisconsin is better set than most states to begin taking the 988 calls with local call centers due to the expansion of the centers in 2020 under Governor Tony Evers. You're listening to Devil Radio.
60% of the time, they're right every time. The Devil's Advocates.
When you wake up in Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, rolling through the happy hour, the Friday Eve edition, in deference to my little tan buddy back from break, going to AWOL, comes back just in time for a difficult 2-day work week. Whew. I know, man. Gonna have to I could get used to that. Let's go to the phones. 844-967-2789. Callers do all the heavy lifting. It's got to ease his way back in the work week. Right. Bob from northeastern Minneapolis, hopefully listening on AM 950 KTNF or the stream or somewhere. Welcome, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Howdy. Welcome back there, Dom. Yeah, listening to you on the app.
Nice.
It's all pretty slick.
Real patriots listen on the Devil Radio app.
So getting back to the last segment a little bit, I'm with Dom on this one and the whole impeachment thing, because you know that saying that goes like, if your only tool in the toolbox is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And if the only brain you have is like a CJ brain, everything's Joe Biden's fault. Well, when you've got a politician's outlook, everything is a political problem. Most people don't think like that. Most people are like, dude, that guy's guilty as sin. Prosecute him. And we're talking about Clarence Thomas, of course.
But I'm not clear what Clarence Thomas is specifically guilty of. He should have recused, but no one can make him recuse.
Yes.
He didn't break the law by not recusing. There's no law that compels him to recuse.
But that's the point, Bob. I mean, if he didn't do it in this one case where it seems totally evident that was for his wife's benefit based on the information that has come out subsequently, how many times does he have to rule in favor of his spouse to hide her involvement in this, and potentially his as well, Bob? How many times does that have to happen before it becomes an impeachable offense?
But you gentlemen know, both you guys know, that Clarence Thomas knew he was the lone dissenter. He was the one in the 8-1.
Yeah,
so
there's
his
no law
vote,
against it.
His vote was irrelevant relative to whether or not the executive privilege claim would be upheld. It's not like he actually shielded her. It'd be different if he was the deciding 5-4 that wrote the decision.
Well, that would certainly make it difficult in the bedroom if he didn't, right, Crudy? And that is the problem. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, but just as far as the I don't know, the personality makeup, I've had this impression for a while now, a couple months, that Clarence might actually be exhibiting signs of like battered spouse syndrome, where he don't wear no pants at all in that household. I think he's got his walking orders, and you know, God help him if he crosses old Ginny or Jenny or whatever the heck her name is, you know.
I do know, Bob. I don't know if Clarence Thomas is a cock, but probably. 844-967-2789. Well, emasculated. I don't know, man. Clarence Thomas is henpecked. I just noticed the guy just started talking in the court after like 25 years. He finally started verbally asking questions. And I'm not sure why the muteness at the bar for 25 years, but suddenly I feel like he found a little courage, you know, and now you hear from him. Be quiet, Clarence.
Well, and thanks for the call, Bob. And I don't want to make light of, you know, any sort of spousal abuse, physical or mental. But I do think the timing is certainly suspect in the fact that, you know, Clarence Thomas was all of a sudden in the hospital for a while. I mean, knowing that this was in fact, I mean, I just think it's suspect. I mean, there was probably, in my mind, the way I see this play out is that, you know, there was a thing. He stressed out. He knew that this was coming down.
Oh, sure. Maybe
it had
the stress put him in the hospital.
Yes, yes.
You don't think he was faking the symptoms? You don't think he went off to the hospital to
No, I don't think he's pulling an Alex Jones to get out of a deposition. I don't think that's the case. But I do think that again, this is pure speculation on my part, but given the timing of it all, and we haven't heard what it was specifically that ailed the justice.
Flu-like symptoms.
Yeah.
Not COVID. No, that's what they described.
No, I get it. And if you are super stressed out, your belly can, you know, hurt a little bit. And given the fact how we've seen him vote, and Crudy, you said it, you know, he didn't break a law by doing this. Well, there's no law against it. So what would stop him from continuing to do this? And certainly there has to be more investigation. I mean, no doubt. I mean, based on what we know now, there's not enough information to say, okay, right now, this very moment, the man must be impeached. But we certainly, I think, have to go down and take an objective look and go down that road, because if what we're seeing, again, these are only a couple dozen texts. We don't even have the full context of everything that his wife was communicating to this administration with.
But she's not on the court. And it is not a crime
for him.
It is not a crime to fail to recuse. And the standard for impeachment is high crimes and misdemeanors. If you can't point to a crime, you will not successfully impeach.
Do you think
bad
Ginny
morals,
Thomas, from what we know, may have been involved in a crime?
She may get convicted.
Okay. Do you think that if that would be the case, that
could be, but I'm not even clear what her crime is. What her alleged crime is.
Yes, I mean, but she may have. I mean, we don't know. We need more information, right?
We do, but there's nothing in the text messages to Mark Meadows that that smacks of criminality. Now, she might be supportive of the greater coup d'etat, but unless we see some evidence that she advanced the coup, well, then she's a criminal.
Well, advanced beyond her support and badgering of the administration, like financial advancement. But again, my point being is that when we look at this kind of information, if she had these discussions with Clarence Thomas, would he then not be part of that conspiracy? And how are we going to, what do we need to do to find out whether or not that actually happened? This is very concerning to me, Crudy.
Well, I don't think you get to depose him and say, what did you and the wife talk about in the bedroom last?
Well, not yet. Not yet. That's why we need more information.
You'll never get that information. 844-967-2789. I'm sorry, man. Sometimes the good guys don't win. It's in all the
They're
Star
never
Wars
going to win
movies.
if you don't try.
Think Empire Strikes Back. I mean, sometimes
come on, man. Think Return of the Jedi, although much not as good of a movie as Empire Strikes Back, but eventually the good guys win.
You little Ewok, you sit there and be quiet. I'm trying to take some phone calls at 844-967-2789. Although I hear you're Chewbacca in the bedroom. Patrick from Madison, welcome, sir. What do you got?
Hello, Patrick.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good.
Great show.
Thank you.
This might be off the subject a little bit, but this is about Tommy Thompson.
Yes, sir.
I just seen a thing, and I kind of knew, not personally, but knew the guy, and I thought he was fair with the unions and stuff. But I just seen a thing. He's got to consult with Trump about the procedure to run for governor. And I just lost every respect there possibly could be for him. He did more stuff. Well, actually, his wife was a teacher, and I have a son a teacher, and he did more for raises back then than a lot of governors did. But I just thought, what do you think about? I just can't.
Patrick, don't you think? I don't think that we as Democrats, we as Team Blue, would ever see the logic to go down and bow down the knee at the altar of Trump. But understand, he is still the leader, talking about Trump, of the Republican Party. And if you're running as a Republican, you at least go acknowledge the man's existence. You take the free trip to Florida, you get your scoop of ice cream at the Mar-a-Lago buffet, and you go back and you run the campaign however the hell you want to.
Well,
but Rebecca Clayfish went down there. They all went down there.
Liz Cheney didn't go down there.
Well, Liz Cheney is not running for governor.
Well, she's running for office as a Republican with Donald Trump as the head of the Republican Party, Patrick.
Final thoughts, Patrick.
Well, I guess I see where you're coming from, but I don't understand the whole Trump thing, so that puts me right there. How people can see what they're pulling and actually vote for that guy again if he did run. He shouldn't even be capable of running again. I mean, but those are my thoughts. And I actually had a lot of respect for Tommy, but I guess that's the way it is. And maybe he knows better, but thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you for your
listening.
thoughts, Patrick. And you never know. I mean, Tommy Thompson could come back and say, I talked with Trump, and I'm just, I disagree with him wholeheartly. I don't think he's right for the party. I mean, you could come back and still be somewhat of a model of independence in that crazy ass party. But for some reason, I'm kind of doubting that's going to happen.
I almost did. I am the very model of a modern major general. I won't though.
Thank you.
I like breaking into verse occasionally in this happy hour. 844-967-2789. Instead, I'll take your calls. If your name is Wisco Paul, you're next. Welcome, Wisco.
Hey, Wisco.
Hey, welcome back, Don.
Thank you.
To hear your voice after I have a good friend down in Florida. It's a pretty cool place. Hey, I'll do the best I can here because I do have a couple of Johnny Blacks in me, so I'll try not to get dumped here. But
do your best, man.
Yeah, I will. My best. Ginny Thomas is a Supreme Court justice. Clarence is just a puppet. So, I mean, that's just the way it is. Whether she says...
Paul, are you... You're not the puppet of your wife, nor is she your puppet, no. Paul. I've met your wife. She's a nice lady, but she has an independent thought process. I mean, that's a little much. She's not the moving, the power broker that Clarence Thomas is on the U.S. Supreme Court.
Oh, I think you're wrong. She's
Wouldn't be the first time, but damn near the first. Go ahead, Paul.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong. She's the master and he's the puppet. That's the case of my marriage. You know, I'm married to an independent lady.
That's the whiskey talking, Wisco. 844-967-2789. Moving on down the phones. I believe Dave from Mequon will be next. Dave, say hi to my long lost buddy Dominic.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, welcome back, Dom. Thanks
you.
for taking the call, Crudy. Really quickly, in regards with, Clarence Thomas' wife, from what I understand and reading the text messages or looking back into that, she was engaging in political advocacy, but she's been stating the same position that she largely maintained in public. And I do think that Thomas should have recused himself, but she did not, as far as I'm concerned. I don't see that there was a crime committed there whatsoever. I mean, she didn't advocate overthrowing, the nation. She wasn't.
Well, she did kind of advocate for overthrowing the government. She was praying for it, but she's not. Her advocacy in and of itself is not a crime. There were lots of people that didn't think Joe Biden is the legitimate president, right? And it's rigged and whatever. So the opinion in and of itself is not the criminality. I think where it gets really trick bag is the fact that her husband was allowed to rule on, her prior non-disclosed text messages.
Those very text messages that prove, or at least show or indicate her willingness to go along with the quote unquote big lie, Dave. And if she, and if more, and I think that warrants, if nothing else, more investigation. And if during that investigation, above and beyond the unethical stance that the justice took in voting on his wife's case, if it goes on and says, well, there's communication between the justice and his wife with regard to overturning and this election, at that point, then is it a concern for you, Dave?
So Dom, that essentially what happened was Meadows had turned over to the congressional committee some 2,300 texts, and they included the 29 message exchange between him and
certainly not all of them, I'm sure.
Right, but Congress could have subpoenaed those messages directly from her without facing executive privilege.
How would they have known they existed, Dave? Who would have considered the fact that a Supreme Court justice's wife is texting the chief of staff to the president during an active insurrection? I mean, Dave, it was a little shocker to me.
Well, Dave, if it was up to, and thanks for the call, man, we got to go to break. But if it was up to Justice Clarence Thomas, nobody would know that.
Just one vote out of 9. At some point, that corrupted vote may be a swing vote. Then it will matter. But on the shielding of the, the missuses, you were probably closer to true when you said, he's doing that just to get a little loving in the bedroom. More Devil's Advocates will bring the love after this short break.
Petition!
I'm going to go home and sleep with my wife.
Judicial system!
Taking them on their first real roller coaster.
Okay, buddy, come on over.
I don't know.
Let's measure.
Okay.
You're just tall enough.
Yes!
Getting back to the moments we miss starts with getting informed. Get the latest info about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org. It's up to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Spruce up your home with soy candles from Wisco Home Goods. I'm Don, one of the owners of this family-owned Midwestern business in Madison, Wisconsin. Our candles are 100% sustainable and come in a variety of unique blends and scents. Did you know our candle jars are also double old-fashioned glasses? That's right, buy a candle and you get a free cocktail glass. Check out our blog at wiscohomegoods.com/blog for more information. That's wiscohomegoods.com/blog.
The Devil's Advocates. Never personal, Only politics.
Relative to population, I believe Waukesha County is running like twice the mortality rate of Dane County.
Right. Well, and then you and your wife braved Mayville to see the band or the play.
Come on, man. I'm vaxxed. I'm boosted. I'm feeling pretty
But
good
you're
about
in
life.
good shape, yeah.
Well, I don't know about
Right.
good shape, but I'm vaxxed and I'm boosted.
Yeah. Did you have a couple glasses of wine up there?
No wine, lots of rum. Rum tum tum.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstead of the Minocqua Brewing Company, and I'm excited to announce our new beer, AOC IPA. This IPA pays homage to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a champion of the progressive movement. AOC IPA is now available in stores throughout Wisconsin. Check our website, MinocquaBrewingCompany.com, to see which stores in your area are carrying it.
The Devil's Advocates. So relevant, they have 1 foot in tomorrow.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Last segment of the day. So if you got something to say, hit us up right now with your burner phone, 844-967-2789.
Dominic has mentioned prior, but just in case you're joining us late, Charles Franklin, fine pollster, joins the big show 3:30 tomorrow. Friday, we'll air the grievances. And I got to tell you, overnight, I got an email from Don Jr. And the old man sends me quite a few emails, send me money, send me money. But this one, unexpected, in my inbox, it said, you need this. And the initial thought I had that went through my mind, Don Jr., Donald Trump Jr., sending me an email. You need this. This guy's trying to sell me some cocaine.
Your first one's free, man. You got to pay for the next.
Turns out he's selling bumper stickers. The bumper stickers, apparently, Trump was right. And one of the topics, Hunter Biden's laptop is real. And it just might be. And that pissed a lot of people off, but I didn't make it real. It just happens. It might be real. So that's the Sun. And I got to tell you, in your absence, Dominic, it's been a little less fun talking sex, drugs, and rock and roll. But the father topped him, and it came from the official, 40 office of 45, not the super PAC, but from the, it's got the former presidential seal, the office of Donald J. Trump. Normally when I get these, I just assume he's going on Sean Hannity again or OAN, because usually he uses it to promote, Donald Trump uses it to promote some media appearance. Right. But here is the statement by Donald J. Trump, 45th president of the United States of America. Today, the Ninth Circuit issued yet another attorney's fees ruling in favor against Stephanie Clifford, a.k.a. Stormy Daniels, this time awarding me $245,000 for fees incurred in the Ninth Circuit. Now, how it is that Stormy Daniels is liable for attorney's fees to Donald Trump because what? She sued him because he lied about having an affair, or at least that's the allegation. But I jumped all the way down in this press release. Let me read just a little bit more from the office of 45. The entire case has nothing but a disaster for Miss Clifford and her lawyer, Michael Avenatti, from a total waste of court time and resources. And I tell you, Trump knows a little something about wasting the court's time and resources. And he got with her owing me a large and growing amount in attorney fees that never needed to have been spent, especially since I've stated many times I never had an affair with her, nor would I ever wanted to, even in her wildest imagination.
Yeah. Then I just have one question, former president. Why did you pay her $130,000?
Life is just a fantasy? I don't know. We've seen the signed checks.
We have seen checks.
Trump org. I think Michael Cohen might have had to write one of those checks. There were like three $35,000 checks, maybe four.
Well, I think Trump's has a signature on one, and perhaps Weisselberg signed, and
everybody was
was
implicated to the payoff on Stormy Daniels.
You paid Stormy Daniels to not have sex with her.
Well, why would you even pay Stormy Daniels under any circumstance? I mean, really, she's a porn star you met at a golf outing. Why would you ever write her a check for any circumstance? Business investment? Stormy
marketing
steaks,
expense,
Stormy vodka, Stormy Airlines. What were you
meals
investing
and
with her?
entertainment? It's a write-off.
Well, of course he had sex with the porn star, or probably Raw Dog, the porn star that looks a lot like the daughter. He has the as far as I'm concerned, sort of the inappropriate attraction towards Ivanka. Did you hear Jared?
Also, you got to get the son.
Yeah, Jared, the son-in-law, the Trump whisperer. Did you see he testified before the January 6th committee?
Was that today?
Oh, yeah.
Today. Oh, do we have any news on it yet?
Only news I know is they really want to get to Ivanka. Just for question's sake.
I thought you were still talking about her dad.
No, I'm gonna leave some things lie. For tomorrow's show.
Yeah, we got Friday grievances tomorrow.
967.
I leave the politics to other people.
2789. Mark from the SAC. Welcome back, Mark. Appreciate your patience. Say hi to Dominic.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, Dom. Caught in a landslide, no escape from reality. That you have the old fantasy line there. That well, I mean, that if yes, and indeed, it may be true that Hunter Biden, went off his dad's name and tried to make money in Ukraine or in China. But look at all the money that the Kushners made while Daddy was in office, and security clearances that they were granted that they should not have been granted, because that's what the security establishment said. Do not give these people security clearances. And that we want to see the contents of Hunter Biden's laptop. Let's see the full contents of the Mueller report and the full contents of the Steele dossier and that whole entire investigation, and let the chips fall where they may. Hunter Biden may have indeed done something wrong, but it hasn't been proved that he violated the law. Let's see if he violated the law or not. And Ron Johnson, explain to us, riddle me this, Mr. Johnson. Why were you in Russia in 2018 celebrating the 4th of July? And how much NRA laundered money came through, Russian money came through, laundered to the NRA through to your campaign? I mean, let's get a full accounting of that, sir. I mean,
Mark,
there's lots of accounting, lots of information.
There are a lot of tentacles on that phone call. Lots of thoughts all jammed into
lots of places to
Thursday,
go.
Friday Eve.
Intellectually, being intellectually honest, I have a problem with corruption, regardless of their political stance. And now whether or not the law has been broken, investigations will pan that out. We weren't there. I don't know.
There are grand juries looking very closely at these things. But if the crime, here's one of the alleged crimes, that he threw a handgun away and he possessed the handgun despite the fact he was a drug addict. And apparently legally you cannot possess under federal law a gun if you're using drugs.
Right.
Well, tomorrow the U.S. House of Representatives will vote on whether or not to legalize marijuana. Because right now marijuana is illegal. And I know lots of Americans use marijuana. I know them. They give me loose joints at events. And some of them own guns, which would make them guilty of the very same crime that Hunter Biden is allegedly guilty of. I can't believe gun ownership mixed with marijuana consumption is a federal felony, because I realize he's accused of using coke and also possessing a gun. But one man's favorite drug is a different man's next favorite.
Exactly.
So anyways, Don, what's your favorite drug?
All of them. Try them all. I listen to my senator from Wisconsin, Ron Johnson. Try them all.
Buddy, good to have you back. Most of the drugs I've tried in this lifetime, you've been somewhere nearby. Appreciate my fine earlier guest, Matt Rothschild. Batman came in studio. Go see him at the Public Library, room 302, 7 p.m. He's hawking a book. Thank you, Fancy Brian. Thank you, Evan. Thank you all for listening. Devil's Advocates. Keep it locked right here. Devil Radio 927.
I don't care what drug will work. Try a bunch of them.
So thank you. The son. Also, you got to get the son.